Chapter 92. Her skin is abnormally white, and she gets fevers easily. She bleeds profusely when her skin breaks. She can't run fast because she gets heart palpitations, dizziness, and fatigue. I put the medicine in the vitamin bottle and lied to her that it's vitamins. She'll grow taller quickly after taking it. Every time I take her to the hospital for a checkup, I lie to her that we're going to the hospital to play games, and the equipment there is for playing games. Every time I go to work, I'm scared that something will happen to her. Xia Dong covered her face as she recounted in pain. Mika Keto suddenly hugged her tightly in his arms. You silly girl, why didn't you tell me that you've shouldered so much on your own? Because I was scared. I didn't want you to worry. Brother Shen, I'm so scared. I'm scared that I won't be able to save Gigai in time. She's my life. I have to save her at all costs. Xia Dong sobbed in his arms. We'll find a way. There's only one way. She lifted her head from his arms, her face full of tears. That is to have a child related to her and use the child's naval blood to save her. Mika Keto froze. Something flashed through his mind. So, you and Bailey Han, yes, that's the reason. Xia Dong wiped away the tears on her face and smiled strangely. Brother Shen, I've succeeded. I'm pregnant. As if struck by lightning, Mika Keto's face instantly lost all color. His body stiffened and he didn't move. Her eyes were filled with passion. I can finally save Gigai. Mika Keto grabbed her wrist and felt a chill run down his spine. He shouldn't be so calculative. He loved her and the children. He knew that she had no choice, so why should he be so calculative? However, his heart was throbbing with pain. It was so painful that he had difficulty breathing. This woman was a little silly. She pretended to be strong and always hid her sadness with a smile. How could such thin shoulders bear such a heavy burden? He hugged her tightly and said word by word, when the child is born, I'll treat him as my own flesh and blood. I won't mistreat him. Xia Dong lay in his arms and cried even louder. In the hospital, there was a sad atmosphere, but in the old mansion in Bailey, there was a joyous atmosphere. During dinner, Bailey Han announced his plans. He was going to marry Su Yunxian. The specific date would be decided after the two families discussed it. Except for Bailey E, everyone was supportive, especially the old lady of Bailey. She was so happy that she kept cheering, your love marathon has finally come to an end. We are all happy for you. Your grandfather is also very happy. As she spoke, Madame Gu patted the back of old Bailey's hand. Old man, Ahan is going to marry a wife. Are you happy? There was a hint of confusion in old master's eyes, but when he saw old madam smiling so happily, he also chuckled and nodded. I'm happy, happy. Bailey Yun raised his wine glass and smiled meaningfully. Brother, Yunxian, congratulations. Thank you. Bailey Han and Su Yunxian also raised their wine glasses and smiled at each other. Bailey E was very unhappy. His little face was tense and his two little fists were tightly clenched. He looked down at the plate in front of him and turned a deaf ear to the voices around him. He had replaced the aphrodisiac in the wine bottle with sleeping pills. How did they still have sex? No, he couldn't let this woman be his mommy. He had to find a way to destroy it. It was almost 10 o'clock when Xia Zhenxing returned home. The living room was empty and dark. No one had left the lights on for him. The bedroom light was still on. His wife was still awake, but at this moment, he didn't want to see her. He dragged his feet and went to his study. He took out the photos of his ex-wife and daughter from the secret drawer and couldn't help but cry. His fingers trembled as he stroked his ex-wife's face. The guilt in his heart wrapped tightly around him like a tide. His daughter in the photo had an innocent will you smile on her tender cheeks. He whispered with tears in his eyes, Xia Xia, Daddy really deserves to die. I've let you and your mother down. There was a soft knock on the door. Xia Zhenxing hurriedly wiped the tears from his face and pressed the photo under a thick book. He cleared his throat and said, "Come in." Su Xingchen was holding a small white bowl in her hand. She pushed the door open and entered. "Daddy, I'm here to deliver supper." Xia Zhenqing forced a smile. "Oh, it's Xingchen. It's so late. Why aren't you asleep?" Su Xingchen placed the small bowl in front of him and pouted. "Daddy, how can your daughter sleep when you're not home? What were you busy with today? Why did you come back so late? Mommy was very worried about you. I was guiding a student in the art studio. I wasn't paying attention and missed the time. It's all Daddy's fault. I've made you guys worry." "Oh, I see. Daddy, I'm going back to my room. You should rest early too." Su Xingchen noticed that his eyes were red as soon as she entered the room. It was obvious that he had cried. She knew that he was hiding something from her. Her sharp eyes swept across the desk and saw a corner of the yellowed photo peeking out from under the book. The two photos that Xia Zhenqing had secretly kept flashed through her mind. He was so sad and came back so late. Could it have something to do with Xia Dong? Su Xingchen had doubts in her heart. She became more vigilant and began to pay attention to his every move. Hospital, VIP ward. At around 10 p.m. last night, Lin Shihao came to pick up Yisiki and Nyonyo. Mika Kito asked Jiang Dao to send Xiao Bao home while she accompanied Xia Dong to stay by Xiao Guai's side for the whole night. Mommy. Xia Dong dreamt that her daughter was calling her even in her dreams. She suddenly woke up and found herself in Mika Kito's arms. The two of them were hugging each other as they lay on the hospital bed. "What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" Mika Kito had long woken up. She touched her daughter's head. Her eyes were filled with panic, and her forehead was covered in sweat. Xia Dong nodded. She didn't want to say that she dreamt that Xiao Guai was seriously ill. Her soft hair had all fallen out. She got up from Mika Kito's arms and got off the bed. She looked at her daughter through the glass window. She was still unconscious. Her small cheeks were pale and bloodless. "Don't worry. The doctor just checked and said that Gigai's condition has stabilized. She will wake up today." Mika Kito walked to her side and comforted her gently. "If you're still worried, you can quit your job and take care of her. I can still take care of the three of you." Xia Dong relaxed a little when she heard that Xiao Guai was fine. She smiled. "You're a rich bachelor. Of course you can take care of the three of us. But I don't want to be like a vine that depends on a tree. I'll take leave today and stay in the hospital to take care of Xiao Guai. Brother Shen, you should go to the office quickly." Mika Kito ruffled her hair. "I won't go to the office today. I'll stay here with you. You said that Xiao Guai is fine. It's enough that I'm here. What can a man like you do here? Gigai should go to the office to earn money so that you can take care of us." Xia Dong pushed his body towards the elevator. Mika Kito couldn't do anything about it. "Okay, I'll go to the office first. Call me if you need anything." "Got it. Go, go." Xia Dong smiled and waved her hand. After sending Mika Kito off, Xia Dong tidied herself up and called Xiao Bao. She learned that Jiang Dao had sent him to kindergarten and told him about Xiao Guai's condition so that he could rest assured. Xia Dong then called Yisiki to tell her that she was safe. She asked her to keep Xiao Guai's illness a secret and not let her aunt know about it. She didn't want her aunt to worry. Yisiki agreed and even said that she would make some delicious food for lunch and send it over to the mother and daughter. Xia Dong disinfected the water and entered her daughter's ward. She held her daughter's hand and softly told her fairy tales. She told her about Snow White and Cinderella. When she was talking about Sleeping Beauty, her daughter's long eyelashes suddenly fluttered. Xia Dong excitedly called out, "Gigai." Xiao Guai slowly opened her eyes and called out softly, "Mommy." Xia Dong's nose twitched and she almost cried. She gently hugged her daughter. "You naughty girl. You almost scared Mommy to death." Xiao Guai hugged her neck with her chubby little arms and said softly, "Mommy, I'm sorry. I made you worry." "It's okay, it's okay. Our Xiao Guai is the most obedient." Xia Dong wiped the corners of her eyes and asked with concern, "Gigai, are you feeling unwell anywhere?" Xiao Guai's big eyes blinked. "Mommy, I want to drink water." "Okay, Mommy will get you some water." Xia Dong poured a cup of water into a paper cup and then took an empty paper cup. She poured the water in turns to make it easier to lower the temperature. When the water was just right, she fed her daughter. Xiao Guai drank the water and lay quietly on the bed. Xia Dong touched her cheek and said softly, "Gigai, Mommy will call the doctor over. I'll be back soon." Xiao Guai nodded obediently. The doctor came over and gave Xiao Guai a full body examination. After confirming that her condition had stabilized, he invited Xia Dong to the office and said, "Miss Xia, the patient's condition has stabilized, but I suggest that she stay in the hospital for a few more days." "How many days will it take?" 5 days. If you're busy with work and don't have time to take care of the patient, our hospital can provide caregivers. The caregivers are all professionally trained and will take good care of your daughter. "Thank you. I do need a caregiver to take care of my daughter." After arranging the caregivers, she asked, "Doctor, based on my daughter's current condition, how long can she last?" "A few months at most. She must have surgery as soon as possible." Xia Dong clenched her hands nervously. "Doctor, can my daughter last for 10 months? The doctor frowned. "It's going to be difficult. Even if she survives through chemotherapy until then, her physical condition will be very bad. The success rate of the surgery is relatively small." Xia Dong's eyes were full of anticipation and anxiety. "It's relatively small, but it's not hopeless, right?" "In theory, yes." After walking out of the doctor's office, Xia Dong did not return to the ward directly. Instead, she sat on the bench in the corridor. She covered her face helplessly. She was so worried and scared, but she was a mother. If even she was not brave, what would happen to her child? She only gave herself 2 minutes to complain. 2 minutes later, she stood up energetically and pushed open the door of the ward with a smile. "Gigai," her voice stopped abruptly because she saw someone she did not want to see. That person was sitting by Xiao Guai's bed, holding toys to make her happy. "Mommy, Grandpa bought me a lot of toys." "Mommy." Xiao Guai suddenly closed her mouth because she realized that her mommy's expression was very ugly. Xia Zhenqing stood up uneasily. "Don't be angry. I just came to see the child. I'll leave right away." Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 93. Xia Dong clenched her fists and tried to control her anger. She didn't want to scare the child, so she said as calmly as possible, "Please don't come here again." Xia Zhenqing's body stiffened. He looked at his granddaughter on the hospital bed reluctantly and smiled bitterly. "I know." He waved at his granddaughter. "Gigai, Grandpa is leaving now. You have to listen to Mommy and get better soon, okay?" "Okay, bye-bye, Grandpa." Xiao Guai blinked her big eyes and waved her chubby little hand. "Bye-bye." Xia Zhenqing smiled from the bottom of his heart, making him look like a kind old man. Xia Dong watched him leave coldly. "Mommy, are you angry?" Xiao Guai wiggled her little butt and climbed onto her lap. She asked carefully, "Mommy, don't you like Grandpa?" Xia Dong closed her eyes and repeated, "I'm not angry." Then she opened her eyes and said softly, "Gigai, don't see him again, and don't call him Grandpa." "But why?" "Grandpa is Grandpa." "Gigai, are you not going to listen to Mommy's words?" "Mommy is so sad," Xia Dong said with a pained expression. Xiao Guai immediately burrowed into her arms and said softly, "Mommy, don't be sad. I'll listen to you." Okay. That's Mommy's good child." "Gigai, you have to throw away these toys too." Xia Dong stroked her daughter and looked at the pile of toys that Xia Zhenxing had brought. Xiao Guai couldn't bear to part with them. But mommy, those toys are fun, can we not throw them away? Mommy will buy you a new one, and I'll buy you more fun ones, okay? Okay then. Xiao Guai watched her mommy take the toys out and throw them into the trash can. Woo-woo, Grandpa, I'm sorry. At noon, Xia Dong received a call from the director. Xia Dong, can you come to the company? There's an urgent matter that needs your attention. Director, what's the matter? There's a problem with Xinghao Group. They suddenly want to unilaterally terminate the advertising contract with us. The advertising department sent the termination agreement over this morning. You signed the contract with them, so it's better for you to be responsible for the termination of the contract. I don't understand. Why would Xinghao Group suddenly terminate our contract? Wasn't the initial advertising investment very successful? I don't understand either. Terminating the contract doesn't benefit Xinghao Group at all. I don't know what they're thinking. Do you have time to deal with this matter this afternoon? Xia Dong looked at her daughter, who was lying on the bed and playing with her fingers in boredom. She gritted her teeth. I'm sorry, Director. I have some personal matters to attend to here. I really can't leave. How about I talk to Xinghao Group and discuss the termination tomorrow? Okay, that's the only way. Xia Dong patted her daughter's head. Gigai, play by yourself for a while. Mommy will go out and make a call. Okay, Xia Dong walked to the end of the corridor and dialed the office number of Xinghao Group's advertising department director, Ren Jijia. Her secretary, Miss, helped her transfer the call. Hello, I'm Ren Jijia. Xia Dong went straight to the point. Director Ren, our charm magazine has been working with Xinghao Group for 2 months. The advertising revenue has always been good. You also expressed that you are very satisfied. Why did you suddenly terminate the contract? Ren Jijia face-bombed. Miss Xia, actually, I'm not very clear about this matter. This is our president's idea. The termination of the contract was also personally ordered by him. Xia Dong was silent for a moment and said, Okay, I understand. I have something to do this afternoon. I may not be able to discuss the termination of the contract with you in time. How about we make an appointment tomorrow? Ren Jijia looked at his schedule and said, I have time tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'll be there on time. After hanging up the phone, Xia Dong was full of doubts. She didn't know what the hell Bailey Han was doing. Didn't he know that he would have to pay more than 10 million yuan just to terminate the contract? Even if he was rich, he shouldn't waste money like this. This guy was really out of his mind. The next day, Xia Dong arranged for a caregiver to take care of her daughter and returned to work. Although she didn't want to have anything to do with Bailey Han, he had provided her with a seed that allowed her to save Gigai. With this life-saving grace, she couldn't let him make a mistake and lose a lot of money. Therefore, before discussing with Ren Jijia, she first went to the president's office. When she saw Xia Dong, Linda quickly stood up. Miss Xia, our president is in a meeting. Xia Dong raised her eyebrows. I haven't told you why I'm here and you already know that I want to see him. Well, the president had already instructed that as long as Xia Dong asked to see him, there were only 2 words, and that was, no. Linda smiled awkwardly. The president said that he doesn't have time. Xia Dong smiled faintly. It's okay. I'll wait until President Bailey has time. Linda laughed dryly. Miss Xia, actually, the president, he doesn't want to see you. Of course, Xia Dong knew the reason. However, she was even more curious. Why didn't Bailey Han want to see her? She smiled calmly. So now, Miss Linda, can you please tell me whether President Bailey is in the office or not? Linda didn't want to offend Xia Dong because of the Mika Kito's fiancé halo above her head. However, Bailey Han was her boss after all. She couldn't afford to offend him. After weighing the pros and cons, she said vaguely, the president said that he's not in. Xia Dong raised her eyebrows. That meant that he was in. She said thank you to Linda and turned to leave. 10 minutes later, she returned to Bailey Hahn's office wearing a cleaner's uniform. Linda's eyes were wide open. Her eyeballs were about to fall out. Xia Dong put her finger to her lips and made a shushing gesture. It wasn't that she hadn't thought of barging in, but with Bailey Hahn's temper, he would definitely vent his anger on Linda. She didn't want to implicate others. Knock, knock, knock. She knocked on the door and said, "President, I'm cleaning." Bailey Hahn's voice sounded. "Come in." Xia Dong walked in and closed the door. Bailey Hahn's attention was all on the computer. He didn't raise his head to look at her. However, he said unhappily, "Why are you cleaning at this time? If this happens again, you don't have to come to work anymore." Xia Dong rolled her eyes. She put down the cleaning tools in her hand and walked to his desk. "Mr. Bailey, I want to talk to you." Hearing the familiar voice, Bailey Hahn suddenly looked up. He locked his fierce gaze on her and said with a livid face, "Why are you here? How dare you show up in front of me? Get out. I don't want to see you." Xia Dong tried her best to suppress her anger. "Bailey Hahn, I'll leave after I've said what I want to say. I don't need you to chase me out. I don't want to hear anything from you, you liar." Bailey Hahn picked up the landline and dialed the internal line. He wanted the security guards to chase her out. Xia Dong reacted quickly and hung up the phone. She was also angry. "Bailey Hahn, you're an ungentlemanly man. Do you think I want to see you? If it weren't for your own good, I'd rather not see you for the rest of my life." Bailey Hahn was furious. "I don't need you to do it for my own good. Get out of here right now." Xia Dong didn't give in at all. She held the phone tightly and glared at him. "You idiot. Don't you know that you have to pay at least 10 million yuan for breaching the contract with Charm? Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? Why did you make such an irrational decision?" Bailey Hahn slammed the table and stood up. He stared at her with a murderous gaze. "Don't you know why I made such a decision? You know what you've done. Stop pretending to be innocent. This damned woman. She lied to him first and now she's asking him why he terminated the contract. He wanted to strangle her to death." Xia Dong was stunned. "What did I do? Tell me clearly." Bailey Hahn sneered. "Humph, it seems like you've done too many bad things. You don't even know which one it is." Xia Dong's eyes flashed. "Bailey Hahn, don't be so sarcastic. What's going on?" Bailey Hahn glared at her fiercely. His sharp gaze seemed to penetrate her internal organs, making her feel a little guilty. However, she wasn't timid at all. She raised her chin and bravely met his gaze. Finally, he snorted. He took out a newspaper from the drawer and threw it at her face. "I'll let you know clearly, you shameless woman." Xia Dong was hit in the face by the newspaper. She suppressed her anger and took the newspaper off her face. When she opened it, her face turned pale. It turned out that he knew about her engagement with Mika Keto and that she had 2 children. In his eyes, she must be a woman who would do anything for vanity. She didn't intend to explain anything. She bit her lip and said, "Even if you hate me because of this, there's no need to break the contract and cause a loss of 10 million yuan. He stared into her eyes. "Don't you want to explain why you lied to me?" Xia Dong clenched her fists and tried to make herself look calm. "There's nothing to explain. I've already said what I wanted to say. If you insist on losing 10 million yuan, I won't say another word." His face was ashen. He gritted his teeth and said word by word, "Good. You're ruthless." He suddenly reached out and pointed at the door. "Now, get out. Don't ever appear in front of me again." Xia Dong raised her head slightly. She made herself look arrogant, calm as she walked out of his office. As she closed the door, a loud bang came from behind her. An antique vase, bearing the brunt of Bailey Hahn's fury, was smashed into pieces. Xia Dong's back was facing the office door. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her eyes were clear. She silently prayed in her heart, Bailey Han, I'm sorry. Only by making him hate her would he return to his own world and no longer have anything to do with her. This was good. This was really good. Xia Dong didn't hesitate at all. She changed her clothes in the bathroom and walked into Ren Jijia's office to discuss the termination of the contract with him. Although she represented Charm magazine, she didn't blame Xinghao Group for breaching the contract. In terms of the liquidated damages, she only set the lowest amount according to the rules. Both sides reached an agreement. Ren Jijia stood up and shook her hand. Miss Xia, thank you for showing mercy this time. I hope we'll have a chance to work together in the future. Xia Dong smiled politely. Director Ren, you're too polite. We've had a good time working together. I look forward to working with your company next time. The two exchanged some pleasantries. Xia Dong said goodbye. Her assistant, Su Xingchen, walked her to the elevator and the door. The elevator came up from the first floor. It took a long time. Xia Dong stared intently at the changing numbers on the elevator. Beauty novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 94. Su Xingchen suddenly said, Sister Xiao Xia, we're actually half-sisters. Did you know that? Xia Dong said lightly, is that so? I'm not interested in that. In my heart, Dad has already passed away. From the moment Xia Zhenxing abandoned her and her mother, he had already died in her heart. Su Xingchen showed a sad expression, Sister, don't say that. If Daddy hears it, he'll be sad. Actually, I've always wanted to have a sister. In the future, can you be my sister? She reached out and wanted to grab Xia Dong, but Xia Dong shook her off and said lightly, Miss Su, please call me Xia Dong. I don't have the fortune to be your sister. Su Xingchen bit her lip, feeling wronged. Sister, do you hate me and Mommy for snatching Daddy away? As long as you're willing, we can be a family. I'm sorry, I'm not willing. The elevator is here. I'll leave first. Xia Dong walked into the elevator and looked at Su Xingchen, who was standing outside, expressionlessly. The elevator door closed. Su Xingchen's pitiful, wronged, and painful expression was all gone. She revealed a slight smile. Of course, she didn't really want to be good sisters with Xia Dong. She just wanted to get close to her to achieve her goal. She didn't expect her to be so guarded and actually rejected her time and time again. But it didn't matter. She didn't want to face her with a fake smile every day anyway. Xia Dong walked out of the Shanghao Group building while talking on the phone. Hello, Sister Li. Is Xiao Guai okay? Okay. Then I'm relieved. Thank you for your hard work. I'll come and see her after work. After hanging up the phone, she touched her belly. Baby, you have to be Gigai. Grow up quickly so that you can save your sister. Do you understand? Bailey Han was very irritable. He stood in front of the window and looked at the scenery outside. His mood didn't improve at all. He hated that woman for always being able to control his emotions. He hated her even more for silently admitting to her crimes. This was a way of admitting that he was fooled by her like a fool. How despicable. Before he could calm down, Su Yunxian called. Han, Mommy just called to tell me that old madam and the rest have already set our wedding date. It's the 15th of next month. What do you think? Today was the 16th. It would be a month to the 15th of the next month. Bailey Han's hand holding the phone tightened. And I have no objections. Su Yunxian smiled. When will the wedding dress, the wedding, the church, and the hotel? Bailey Han paused for a moment. Just leave these matters to the butler. No, I want to be like an ordinary bride and personally prepare for this wedding. Do you think it's troublesome? I don't worry, she giggled. How can that be? I'm overjoyed. Then, are you willing to prepare for the wedding with me? His frown deepened, but he didn't refuse. Okay, I'll listen to you. She kissed him on the phone. Han, you're the best. I love you. He said, okay, I have to go to a meeting. Talk to you tonight. Alright, go ahead and do your work. In Su Yunxian's office, she was beaming. Ever since she found out about the wedding date, her smile hadn't disappeared. She wanted to tell the whole world that she was going to get married to the man she loved deeply. Although she couldn't tell the whole world, she could tell her rivals, such as her dear cousin Su Xingqian, to stop her from having unrealistic fantasies. Su Yunxian's smile became even brighter. She pressed Su Xingqian's number and said, Xingqian, congratulate me. I'm going to marry Han. Su Xingqian almost threw her phone away. The smile on her face was uglier than crying. Only her voice was normal. Then I really have to congratulate you. Sister Yunxian, when is your wedding date? On the 15th of next month. I want you to be my bridesmaid. Are you willing? Su Xingqian almost broke her teeth. I'm willing, of course I'm willing. Sister Yunxian, the director is looking for me. I'll hang up first. Talk to you next time. Okay, go ahead. Bye-bye. Su Yunxian hung up the phone with a smile. She was in a good mood. It felt so good to defeat her love rival. Brother Han was going to get married, but the bride wasn't her. Su Xingqian was angry and sad. She had been so focused on dealing with Xia Dong that she had neglected Su Yunxian. No, she wouldn't let Su Yunxian have her way. At night, Su Xingqian invited her good friends Bailey Fei Yan and Bai Meiwei to a bar to relax. In the bar, the lights flickered and the electronic music was deafening. The noisy air was filled with the ambiguous smell of alcohol and perfume. All kinds of men and women were crazily twisting their waists and buttocks under the dim lights. The three of them ran to the dance floor and showed off their dancing and figures. They were harassed from time to time, but they ignored it. The three of them gathered together and laughed. After dancing until they were tired, they sat down at the bar counter. Bai Meiwei smiled and said, Xingqian, you used to have the best temper. Whenever you met someone who hit on you, you would politely decline. What's wrong with you today? Bailey Fei Yan interrupted, I know. Xingqian, it's because my cousin is getting married. She's not happy. Bailey Han is getting married? Su Xingqian smiled. Yes, on the 15th of next month. Sister Yunxian even asked me to be her bridesmaid. Bai Meiwei raised an eyebrow, this Su Yunxian, she's doing it on purpose. Su Xingqian hurriedly said, Meiwei, don't say that about my cousin. She's very good to me. I think she's definitely not doing it on purpose. Only a naive fellow like you would think that. Bai Meiwei rolled her eyes at him in annoyance. I've seen that cousin of yours before. She's definitely a smiling tiger with a fierce heart. Don't be fooled by her and still help her count her money. Su Xingqian smiled bitterly, don't talk about me. Meiwei, didn't you say you like someone? How are things between you and him? Bai Meiwei casually stretched out her arms, nothing much. The person I like already has a wife and child. Ah, it can't be, you've fallen in love with a married man. Bailey Fei Yan cried out noisily. Bai Meiwei hurriedly covered her mouth. Miss, please lower your voice. Su Xingqian said, if you ask me, so what if he's a married man? If you like him, then chase him over. Bai Meiwei smiled bitterly. It's not as simple as you say. He loves his wife very much. What's the use of love? Love can also be betrayed. Su Xingqian was already a little drunk. His eyes were blurred as he said, just like Brother Han. Doesn't he also love Sister Yunxian very much? But so what? Didn't he still betray her? Last time at Charm Club, we all saw him and Xia Dong having an ambiguous relationship. Bai Meiwei frowned as if she had thought of something. Speaking of which, Xia Dong is my senior's patient. That day, I accidentally saw her medical record. She seems to be pregnant. What? Pregnant? Su Xingchen suddenly quivered and sobered up halfway. How long has she been pregnant? I didn't see it very clearly. I only saw the word 2. I don't know if it's 2 months or 2 weeks. But I guess it's 2 weeks. She doesn't look like it's 2 months. 2 weeks pregnant. Su Xingchen silently counted the dates in his heart. That was the same date as the night Brother Han and Xia Dong were at Charm Club. Her face was pale. No, this must be a coincidence. Bai Meiwei patted her. Xingchen, what are you talking about? No, nothing. Let's drink. We won't go home until we're drunk tonight. Su Xingchen raised his wine glass, hiding the thoughts in his heart. Xingchen, don't drink anymore. You've already drunk a lot. Don't stop me. I want to drink. Bottoms up. As Su Xingchen drank, he pondered in his heart. Regardless of whether Xia Dong was pregnant with Brother Han's child or not, if Su Yunxian felt that she was pregnant with Brother Han's child, with Su Yunxian's personality, she would definitely not let him off. And Xia Dong, with Mika Kito's protection, would definitely not be defeated so easily by Su Yunxian. If the two of them fought, it would definitely be very lively. The wedding might even be postponed or cancelled. Oh right, the matter that I asked my godfather to help me with some time ago should be put aside first. I have a new plan. With a plan in mind, Su Xingchen relaxed and allowed himself to get drunk. Fian, Xingchen is drunk. I'll send her home. You should take a taxi home too. Okay. Be careful on the road. Bai Meiwei was drunk and could not drive. She supported Su Xingchen and stood on the side of the road to hail a taxi. In the end, taxi after taxi was full. She helplessly sighed and planned to find a designated driver to help her drive. A car drove past her and suddenly turned back. Meiwei, why are you here? Bai Meiwei happily called out, Senior, you really came at the right time. Can we trouble you to send us home? Bai Meiwei helped Su Xingchen into the car. Only then did she know that this was the road that Lin Shihao had to take to get home. Lin Shihao first sent Su Xingchen home, then sent Bai Meiwei to her villa. Bai Meiwei smiled and said, Senior, thank you so much for tonight. Do you want to come to my house and sit? No need. My wife is still waiting for me at home. You should go in quickly. Be careful on the road. Bai Meiwei stood on the side of the road and watched reluctantly as he drove away. In the end, she sighed. Why were all good men already other people's husbands? Su Xingchen's words involuntarily flashed through her mind. So what if he's a married man? If you like him, then chase him over. Her heart suddenly began to pound. Chase him over? Could she really do it? Xia Dong spent the night with her daughter again. Mika Kito was still squeezed on the same bed as her. Brother Shen, you don't have to accompany us. Mika Kito patted her head. What nonsense are you saying? I've already booked a room in the hotel next to the hospital. Your change of clothes has also been sent over. You can go there to wash up and get ready for work. I'll take care of things here. Xia Dong was very touched. Brother Shen, thank you. You're always so considerate. Don't say those 3 words to me in the future. I don't like to hear them. He smiled. You can say those 3 words to me. Xia Dong was curious. What 3 words? He raised his eyebrows. You're welcome. Actually, what he wanted to say was, I love you. Xia Dong laughed. She went to the hotel to wash up and dress up beautifully. When she returned to the hospital, she saw Mika Kito teaching Xiao Guai Japanese. He hugged her and smiled gently and dotingly, just like a father and daughter. Xia Dong inexplicably felt that this scene was very heartwarming. Xia Dong patted her daughter's head. Gigai, you have to listen to Auntie Li today. Gigai has to take medicine and injections. Do you understand? I understand. Goodbye, Mommy. Her daughter waved her chubby little hands. Brother Shen, I'm going to work. You should hurry to the office too. Sister Li will take care of Xiao Guai. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 95. Mika Keto smiled faintly. I'm the boss. I can go whenever I want. You, on the other hand, will be late if you don't leave now. Xia Dong was speechless. So what if you're the boss? Just as Xia Dong left, Mika Keto's phone rang. It was a call from England. He put down Xiao Guai and patted her head. Gigai, Uncle Shen is going outside to answer the call. He'll be back soon. He walked to the corridor and pressed the answer button. The other party said in English, Boss, the killer whale's death was very clean and did not leave any clues. We've been investigating for a long time, but we haven't found the mastermind. What should we do now? Mika Keto pondered for a moment and replied in English, the mastermind was able to contact the killer whale and get rid of him so cleanly that even you guys couldn't find anything. This means that the mastermind is not simple. We'll put this matter aside for now, but don't let your guard down. I believe that the mastermind will not give up so easily. Who knows, they might make their next move soon. Yes, boss. Mika Keto stood in the corridor and was silent for a while. He then called Jiang Dao. Jiang Dao, from today onwards, send someone to the hospital to protect Xiao Guai secretly. You'll be responsible for Xiao Bao's safety. As for Xia Dong, he would protect her personally. At the morning meeting, Xia Dong commented on everyone's topic and finally picked a more novel topic to be the main topic of the next issue of the magazine. Peter, I think your topic about performance art is very good. Nowadays, many artists use art to inspire people to think about nature and social issues. This topic is worth exploring. Peter nodded repeatedly. As Xia Dong spoke, her eyes lit up. Some time ago, I saw a video uploaded by a netizen on the internet. It said that there's a school called Yutong Primary School in a remote mountain area. There's only one teacher in the school. He used to study art, but now he teaches all the subjects. I have an idea. If we invite this teacher to lead all the students in the school to complete a work of art, then our magazine will do a special interview. First, it will make the topic of art more creative. Second, we can use the influence of the magazine to help the children in that school. That's a great idea. Peter took the lead and applauded. For a moment, the applause was thunderous. Xia Dong reported this matter to the director as a project, which also aroused the director's great interest. Art is not only a matter of fashion, but also a matter of social welfare. Xia Dong, your idea is very good. Xia Dong smiled and said, since the director approves of this idea, I would like to apply for an activity fund from the company. I would also like to apply for a charity to donate to the school. The director pondered for a moment. There's no problem with the funds for the event. As for the charity, we still need to communicate with the corporation. I'll do my best. Thank you, director. I'll wait for your good news. The efficiency of the director was quite high. The next day, he informed Xia Dong that the matter of the charity was settled. The corporation agreed to donate 500,000 renminbi to the school in the name of the magazine. However, the corporation named Xia Dong to be in charge of this activity. Xia Dong knew that this was actually the time for the corporation to test her ability. Xia Dong contacted the only teacher in Yutong Primary School, Ning Feng, in advance. Ning Feng was not old. He was a man in his early 30s, but year-round heavy work made him look like a man in his 40s. When Xia Dong mentioned the interview to him, he was so excited that he was almost speechless. He held Xia Dong's hand and kept thanking her. Chief Editor Xia, thank you so much. I thank you on behalf of the 73 children in our school. Teacher Ning, you're welcome. Our magazine also needs the help of you and the children. The artwork for the interview will require more effort from you. The artwork can be a painting or a sculpture. The theme and scope are up to you. As long as the theme of art and fashion is highlighted, it will be fine. Understood, understood. I will definitely put my heart into it. Xia Dong and Ning Feng made an appointment for the interview. At that time, the magazine would send photographers and interviewers to the school for the interview. Xia Dong deliberately set the time for the interview on the second day after Xiao Guai was discharged from the hospital, which was this Saturday. This way, she would not miss the time to pick up her daughter because of work. On the day of picking up the child, the doctor invited Xia Dong and Mika Keto to the office and told them a lot of things to pay attention to. He also suggested that with the child's current physical condition, it was no longer suitable for her to continue to study in the kindergarten. It was best to take her home to recuperate. Back at home, Xia Dong bathed Gigai. She immediately ran to Xiao Bao's room and cuddled with her brother. The two little guys did not have a chance to spend a long time together. As soon as they met, they chattered non-stop. Their giggles could be heard from the room to the living room from time to time. Listening to the laughter, Xia Dong felt very at ease. She nestled on the sofa and did not want to move. When Mika Keto finished washing and cutting the fruit and brought it to her, she had already fallen asleep on the sofa. He knew that she had been very tired recently. She had been running back and forth between the hospital, the company, and home. At night, she often had nightmares when she slept. He could not bear to wake her up. He bent down, put his hands around her waist, carefully picked her up, and put her on her bed. Xia Dong slept until the next morning. When she woke up, she was still a little confused. She thought that she was in the hospital. Suddenly, she saw two hairy heads popping out from beside her bed. She was shocked. Ha 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 ha, Mommy, your dazed expression is so cute. Xiao Guai jumped up with a funny face and stuck out her little tongue. It's over. Mom was scared silly by us. Xiao Bao touched her little chin with a regretful expression. You two rascals. How dare you laugh at me? Look at my invincible photon wave. Xia Dong stretched out her arms and imitated Crayon Shinchan's movements. She sent out photon waves with a biu-biu sound. The two little rascals cooperatively fell onto the bed and lay there motionlessly. You two, now you know how powerful I am, right? Do you still dare to bully Mommy? Xia Dong pounced over and hugged them. She kissed them on the left and right cheeks. We don't dare to, Mika Keto heard the laughter of the three of them in the kitchen. A faint smile appeared on his cold and handsome face. His lips curved up coldly as he placed the breakfast he had prepared on the table. Then, he knocked on the door. Uncle Shen's breakfast of love is ready. Little rascals, it's time to eat. Oh lazy Mommy, get up quickly. Otherwise, we'll finish all your breakfast. The two little rascals ran to the dining room. Mika Keto crossed his arms and looked at Xia Dong, who was still lying on the bed and refusing to get up. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xia, aren't you going to the mountains for an interview today? Why aren't you getting up yet? Only then did Xia Dong come to his senses. Wow. He jumped off the bed and said, I thought today was Saturday. I almost forgot about it. Mika Keto shook his head helplessly. His eyes were filled with love and gentleness. Don't worry. I don't have anything going on today. I plan to accompany you to the mountains. Xia Dong rushed to the bathroom. As she washed up, she said vaguely, I don't think so. I'm going with my colleagues. It'll be awkward if you come with me. When she came out of the bathroom, Mika Keto said, What's there to be awkward about? Don't forget that I'm your fiancé in name. In the end, he was worried about her going alone. No matter how Xia Dong tried to persuade him, Mika Keto wouldn't listen. In the end, Beitang Shen directly used violence to solve the problem. He picked up the chattering Xia Dong and threw him into his Bentley. Then, he sped off. He parked the car downstairs and made a phone call. The cameraman in charge of the shoot, Ding Hao, came out with his camera on his back. When he saw the Bentley, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he joked, Chief Editor, the car we're going to use today is really luxurious. Xia Dong laughed. Don't talk nonsense. This is my friend's car. Let me introduce my friend, Mika Keto. Brother Shen, this is my colleague, cameraman Ding Hao. Mika Keto's name was well known. Ding Hao reached out his hand with a smile. Mr. Beitang, it's an honor to meet you. You're so nice to our chief editor. Mika Keto shook his hand politely and looked indifferent. I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind me accompanying Xia Xia. No, Mr. Beitang, you're too polite. Xia Dong sat next to Mika Keto while Ding Hao sat in the back seat. Mika Keto looked cold and aloof in front of outsiders. She seemed unapproachable. However, she was very protective of Xia Dong. Ding Hao couldn't help but sigh. She had a rumored boyfriend, the second young master of Bailey. Now, she had a fiancé, President Beitang. Chief editor not only had many admirers, but she was also very high quality. Yutong Elementary School was located in a remote mountainous area. The transportation was not very convenient. The mountain roads were full of potholes and it was extremely difficult to walk. They set off early in the morning and didn't reach their destination until the afternoon. The school was very simple. A row of old tile-roofed houses stood in front of them. In front of the houses was a small playground. In the middle of the playground was a flagpole with a bright 5-starred red flag fluttering on it. Xia Dong didn't expect the school to welcome them with such fanfare. All the children stood in 2 rows on the playground with wreaths made of wild flowers in their hands. They shouted, "Welcome! Welcome!" Ning Feng shook their hands excitedly. "Welcome! Our Yutong Elementary School is a little simple. Please forgive us if we don't treat you well. Mr. Ning, you're too polite. Mr. Ning, this is Ding Hao, the photographer of our magazine. This is my friend, Mika Keto. We would like to visit the school first and take some photos to let more people know about the school. Is that okay?" "Of course. This way, please." Ning Feng took the 3 of them to visit the classrooms. There were 73 students in 6 grades, but there were only 3 classrooms. There were all kinds of desks in the classrooms, which were brought by the students from their homes. According to Ning Feng, each classroom could seat 2 grades of students. Every day, he would teach students of different grades at different times. The students' cafeteria was a low tile-roofed house with an earthen stove. There were 2 big iron pots on top of the stove. Every day, Ning Feng would cook the students' meals for them. The other 2 rooms were the students' dormitory. The children who lived far away from their homes lived in the school and went home once a week. Ning Feng also lived in the school. His office-cum-bedroom was very small. It was so small that there was only a bed, a desk, a chair, and a wardrobe in it. After seeing this, Xia Dong's heart was very heavy. Her eyes were wet. Although she was also a poor child, she had never seen such a simple school. Ding Hao's eyes were also red. Even the indifferent Mika Keto was moved. Xia Dong said sincerely, "Mr. Ning, I admire you very much. The children are lucky to have a teacher like you." Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 96. Chief Editor Xia, you're flattering me. In fact, I'm also from the city. After working in the city for a while, I've seen too much hypocrisy and deception. I felt that life was boring and meaningless. One day, I walked here with my bag and saw these children. Although they were poor, they had never given up chasing their dreams. So, I stayed. In fact, it was these children who changed me. I should say that I'm very lucky to have met them. Xia Dong was very moved. She decided to do an exclusive interview with Ning Feng so that more people would pay attention to his deeds. Ning Feng smiled embarrassedly. "Chief Editor Xia, the children have finished the artwork you mentioned. Do you want to have a look now?" "Okay, please lead the way." Ning Feng took them to the small yard behind the school. When they saw the things placed in the yard, the three of them were immediately shocked. In the yard, there were 12 hand-woven animals neatly placed. They were the size of real animals. The smallest was a mouse, and the largest was a cow. These animals were lined up in the order of the 12 zodiac signs. They stood lifelike in this narrow yard. Ning Feng introduced, "These are the 12 zodiac signs. All of them are woven with willow branches. The willow branches were picked by the children from the river. These animals were also woven by them." Ding Hao frantically pressed the shutter and praised, "This is incredible. Chief editor, look at this cow. It's as if it's alive. These children are still so young. How can they have such good craftsmanship?" Ning Feng smiled proudly. Because the people living in this land have relied on weaving for a living for generations. The children also began to learn this skill from an early age. Xia Dong was shocked and moved. It must not be easy to weave the 12 zodiac signs in 3 days. Ning Feng said, "The children said that they must not lose face for the school and their hometown. Even if they don't eat or sleep, they must complete the task." Xia Dong's eyes flashed with tears as she firmly said, "Teacher Ning, don't worry. We will definitely do a good job in this interview and let more people see the current situation of Yutong Elementary School. We will let the school receive help from society so that the children can concentrate on their studies." Chief Editor Xia, we are relieved to hear your words. You are the great benefactor of our Yutong Primary School. Ning Feng bowed to Xia Dong with red eyes. Xia Dong hurriedly supported him. "Teacher Ning, you're too much. We still want to interview a few children. Please arrange it for us." The 2 children who were interviewed were the ones with the best academic results but the poorest family background. They deliberately changed into clean clothes, washed their faces, combed their hair, and faced the camera. They sat stiffly and did not dare to move. Outside the window, a group of children lay on the ground and watched curiously, but no one said a word. "Don't be nervous." Xia Dong comforted them. She wanted them to relax, but she did not expect them to be even more nervous. She changed her approach and said with a smile, "I have 2 children too. They are less than 5 years old and have just started kindergarten. 2 days ago, their teacher taught them a children's song. Let me sing it for you." Mika Kito's deep eyes fell on her. She did not know what she wanted to do. Ding Hao's face was bitter. He wanted to cover his ears, but unfortunately, he did not have a 3rd or 4th hand. Under the banyan tree by the pond, cicadas are calling for summer. Her voice was soft and clear. She sang the familiar childhood. Ding Hao's eyes widened. It was different. It was different from the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves in the KTV. The chief editor sang beautifully and beautifully. Xia Dong sang as if she was deeply immersed in it. Just as everyone's emotions were stirred by her, she suddenly stopped and said with a smile, "Is there anyone who can sing? Can you sing with me?" Ning Feng had taught the children this song before, so they all knew how to sing it. They could not help but sing along with her. The 2 children who were interviewed also sang along. After the song, the children all smiled and their nervousness dissipated. Ding Hao gave Xia Dong a thumbs up. The information obtained from the interview was enough to make people weep. Of the 2 children, one was from a single-parent family. He had lost his father when he was young. His mother sold herbs for his living and education. He had to walk more than 10 kilometers to school every day just to go home and help his mother pick herbs after school. The other child had 3 younger sisters. She was the oldest girl. At the beginning of the year, her parents did not allow her to go to school. She knelt on the ground and begged for a day and a night. Finally, her parents agreed to let her go to school, but she had to pay for her tuition and living expenses. Because her family was too poor to pay for it, she had to go to town every weekend to pick up scraps and beg on the streets to earn money for her tuition and living expenses. There were several times when Xia Dong could not control her emotions and choked. Ning Feng was right. These children had strong souls. No matter how big the disaster was, they were always tenacious. She should learn from them. After the interview, Xia Dong was in a heavy mood. On the way back, she did not say a word. Nowadays, people felt that they were the most miserable people in the world. In fact, it was just because they had not seen anyone more miserable than themselves. Xia Dong decided to change the fate of the children in Yutong Primary School. In order to expand the influence of the magazine and let more people see the interview, Xia Dong deliberately greeted her friends in the circle and asked them to help promote it. She also asked Bailey Yun to persuade Lin Weiwei, the Queen of Heaven, to say at the press conference, "I like to read Charm magazine very much. I buy every issue," so when the new issue of the magazine came out, it immediately caused a sensation. Many readers called with tears in their eyes and asked about the situation of Yutong Primary School. They also proposed to donate to the children. Xia Dong struck while the iron was hot. She pulled strings with the relevant departments and called for a donation to Yutong Primary School. Charm magazine took the lead and proposed to donate 500,000 yuan. Xia Dong also donated 100,000 yuan in her own name. Mika Keto donated 1 million yuan in the name of Bo Ao Group. Xia Dong found Bailey Han's check of 100,000 yuan and donated it in his own name without hesitation. The impact of this donation was very wide. Even the finance department of Shenghao Group made a budget for this batch of funds. Linda sent the budget of the finance department to Bailey Han. Bailey Han asked, "What's the matter with this donation?" The Prince Charming CEO was busy preparing for his wedding during this period of time, so he did not pay attention to the public welfare. Linda explained to him, "President, Charm magazine recently did an exclusive interview." Bailey Han interrupted her, "It has something to do with Charm magazine?" "Yes." "Return it." "Ah." Bailey Han's face darkened. "Return this financial budget. Our company will not participate in any activities related to Charm magazine in the future." Yes, he did not want to be involved in anything related to that woman. Bailey Han's face was cold and heartless. After a while, he received a call. "Mr. Bailey, I'm a staff member of the Public Welfare Fund. Thank you very much for your personal donation to Yutong Primary School." Bailey Han frowned. "I think you've got it wrong. I didn't donate." "It can't be wrong. We received your 100,000 yuan donation check today. Thank you very much for your support to the education industry." The staff member gushed about his gratitude and respect to Bailey Han. Bailey Han's frown deepened. 100,000 yuan? Check. Could it be that this check was the one he let that woman deal with? What nonsense was this donation to Yutong Primary School? Bailey Han said, "I'm very busy." He interrupted the staff member and hung up the phone. He hated things that were out of his control. Therefore, he opened the web page and logged into Charm magazine's official website. He finally understood what this donation was all about. Originally, he entered the website with a crusade mentality. However, after reading the interview with Yutong Primary School and seeing the shocking photos and words, he fell silent. He called Linda in through the internal phone. "The financial department just sent over the donation budget. I've approved it. Inform the financial department to add another 1,000,000 yuan." Linda's eyes lit up. "Yes, President." Bailey Han leaned back in his chair. His gaze fell on the photos and he felt a little complicated. "Xia Dong, you're a woman full of lies. So, you have a heart too?" In just 1 week, the magazine alone had raised 5 million yuan in donations. When Ning Feng heard the news, he was so excited that he shed tears of gratitude. Because of the rainy season, the school's buildings were too simple and crude. They were afraid that it would be dangerous, so the local government decided to use the donations to build a 3-story building first. Mika Keto said that the Boa Group would build the building for the school free of charge in the shortest time possible. The local government and the villagers were grateful. On the day of the groundbreaking ceremony, the local government invited Mika Keto, Xia Dong, and a dozen other well-known donors to attend. Unfortunately, Sanka Group encountered some problems, and Mika Keto had to rush back to deal with it. That's why he missed the ceremony. Mika Kito left in a hurry the night before the ceremony. Before he left, he asked Jiang Dao to stay behind to protect Xia Dong. Jiang Dao is Mika Kito's assistant in name. Since Mika Kito is not around, Jiang Dao can take his place and attend the ceremony with Xia Dong. Many famous people attended the ceremony, including the mayor and the secretary of the municipal party committee. The two of them shook Xia Dong's hand to express their gratitude. Of course, Xia Dong did not dare to claim the credit. She pushed all the credit to teacher Ning Feng and the kind-hearted people who donated. Because of this interview, Xia Dong became a little famous. The CEOs of large corporations all came over to greet her politely. She smiled and responded to them one by one. She was generous and cheerful, and had the temperament of a strong woman. She did not know that her every move was being watched by Bailey Han. Bailey Han did not like to show his face in public, and he expected that Xia Dong would also attend. So when he received the invitation, he wanted to refuse. However, old Bailey's wife did not see it that way. She insisted that he accept it. She said that it was a good thing to do charity, and he should treat it as accumulating blessings for Xiao Yi. It was not until the organizers arranged for the ribbon-cutting ceremony that Xia Dong found out that Bailey Han was also there. Bailey Han stood beside her with a pair of scissors in his hand. He was focused on cutting the red silk without looking sideways. From the time he went on stage until he left, he did not look at her at all. After the groundbreaking ceremony, everyone left in their cars. Xia Dong was not in a hurry to leave. She said a few words to Jiang Dao and Lilith. Then, she took out her bags from the trunk of the car and went to the classroom to check on the children. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 97. The children were in self-study. Someone with sharp eyes saw her from afar and shouted, "Auntie Xia." All the children rushed out of the classroom and surrounded her, calling her Auntie Xia. Every little face had the brightest smile. Xia Dong smiled and said, "Quick, take a look at what I've brought for you." The children took a step back and she put down the bags in her hands. There were 3 bags filled with toys. There were dolls, electric trains, car models, Rubik's cubes, 9 consecutive rings, all kinds of things. There were also 2 bags filled with notebooks, pens, and other school supplies. The children cheered and pounced on her. They surrounded Xia Dong, cheering and jumping. Bailey Han had wanted to walk around and check out the school situation, but he didn't expect to see this scene. Frankly speaking, Xia Dong had a very beautiful face, especially her eyes. When she smiled, they were filled with passion and contagion. At this moment, she was smiling very happily. She stroked the children's hair and said something from time to time. Bailey Han's eyes darkened. Finally, he turned around and left. After a while, Jiang Dao and Lilith came to look for her. Xia Dong said goodbye to the children. "Children, I'm leaving. You have to study hard and grow up to be useful people to society." The last sentence was actually a little broad. She smiled and changed the way she spoke. Study hard and change your own fate. Change the fate of your family. Auntie Xia will remember it. The children's little faces were filled with determination. They reluctantly sent her to the village entrance and watched her get into the car. The car drove far away, but they were still standing there. Lilith looked at them and sighed. "Chief Editor, I suddenly feel that we've done something very great." Xia Dong smiled. "Do you suddenly feel that you have motivation in life?" Lilith nodded vigorously. Xia Dong laughed heartily. Jiang Dao, who was driving, also smiled. However, something unfortunate happened. When they drove for more than an hour and entered another small town, the car broke down. Fortunately, it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. There was the only car repair shop in town. The young man had never repaired such a high-end car before. After checking it, he helplessly spread out his hands. "I'm sorry, I can't repair it. I don't have the parts here." Xiaodong asked, Sir, is there a bus to City A here? The young man scratched his head. Yes, but there are only 2 trips. One at 8 in the morning and the other at 2 in the afternoon. It's already 3 in the afternoon. Obviously, you've missed it. Then, is there a private car going to a city? The young man smiled embarrassedly. No, City A is too far away, and the road to City A is very difficult to walk. None of the drivers are willing to go. Lilith stomped her feet anxiously. Then what should I do? It's my grandma's birthday today. I must rush back. Xiaodong patted her shoulder and comforted her. Don't worry, let's think of other ways. Jiang Dao asked the young man why the car broke down, and then called the car repair shop in City A. The shop assistant said that the problem was not serious, but he needed to change a part. He also said that it would take at least 4 hours to get here. Jiang Dao asked them to come as soon as possible. Now, they could only wait for the car to be repaired. The young man was very enthusiastic. He brought 3 chairs from the house and invited them to sit down. He even made tea. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Xiaodong suddenly saw a Maybach speeding over. It was Bailey Han's car. She had sat in it before, and she remembered the license plate number. She stood up abruptly, waving her hands in the air as she shouted, Stop the car! Stop the car! Bailey Han saw someone waving at him from the side of the road. It was Xiaodong. He stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. Xiaodong covered her face in disappointment. Bailey Han saw her bending over and covering her face in the rearview mirror. She looked very disappointed, and he actually felt bad. His hands unconsciously slowed down, and then slowed down again and again. Finally, he stopped about 100 to 200 meters away from her. Lilith shouted excitedly, It stopped, it stopped. Chief Editor, look, the car stopped. Xiaodong looked up in surprise. The Maybach had really stopped, although it was quite far from where they were now. Bailey Han waited for a while, but there was still no movement from the group. He was irritated. Damn idiot, didn't she understand his hint? It had been a minute, and he still hadn't driven away. So, he should be waiting for them. Xiaodong finally reacted and said to Jiang Dao, stay here and wait for the people from the repair shop to come. Lilith and I will go back to City A, but, no buts, Jiang Dao. Bailey Han is a good person. He won't do anything bad to me, so don't worry. Jiang Dao, I'll leave this to you. Be careful. Lilith, let's go. After Xiaodong gave her instructions, she pulled Lilith and hurried to Bailey Han's side. Before she left, she didn't forget to thank the young man. Because of the baby in her belly, Xiaodong didn't dare to run too fast. She was also worried that Bailey Han would change his mind at the last minute and step on the gas pedal to escape, so she said to Lilith, Lilith, run faster and go over first. I can't walk too fast, so I'll be 1 step behind you. Lilith had the same worry and immediately raised her hands in agreement. Okay, Chief Editor, be careful. I'll be there right away. Lilith ran over at the speed of the 800-meter long-distance run when she was in college. After a few minutes, Xiaodong walked over leisurely. Bailey Han's face was as black as the bottom of a pot that had been burning for more than 10 years. As for the explanation, Lilith must have already explained it, so Xiaodong didn't say anything more. She smiled politely and said, Mr. Bailey, sorry to trouble you. Bailey Han pursed his lips and ignored her, but he unlocked the back door. Xiaodong and Lilith hurriedly got in. It was finally safe. Bailey Han's face became even darker. Did he look like the kind of person who would change his mind at the last minute? Yes, you are. The atmosphere in the car was very gloomy. No one spoke. Lilith didn't dare, Xiaodong didn't want to, and Bailey Han didn't care. The car drove in silence for an hour and drove to a small dirt bridge. The bridge was about 70 meters long and 7 to 8 meters wide. A farm tractor rumbled on the bridge. Behind the tractor sat a young woman with a child in her arms. Their car also drove onto the bridge. When the tractor heard the sound of the car, it purposely made way for them. Just as Bailey Han overtook the car, Xia Dong suddenly realized that something was wrong. The bridge was shaking. Several large cracks appeared on the bridge, like vines, slowly spreading from one end of the bridge to the other. It was like a scene from a disaster movie. Xia Dong grabbed the seatbelt and reminded Bailey Han in a panic, "Bailey Han, the bridge is cracking." Bailey Han also saw that the car was about to reach the center of the bridge. There were still more than 50 meters before they would reach the other end of the bridge. It was impossible for them to retreat. The soil bridge was shaking more and more violently. Through the rearview mirror, he could see that the bridge deck at the back of the bridge was slowly collapsing into the river, causing the river water to gush and splash. The tractor was also driving frantically. The desperate cries of the woman and child resounded through the sky, but it was too late. In less than 10 seconds, they would be buried in the river with the car. And he had to race against time to drive to the other side of the bridge. These thoughts just flashed past his mind. Bailey Han calmly said to Xia Dong and Lilith, who were sitting in the back, "Close your eyes." Xia Dong quickly closed her eyes. Lilith was so scared that she almost lost the ability to think. She also followed the order and closed her eyes in a daze. Bailey Han stepped hard on the accelerator and the car shot out like an arrow. 1 meter behind the car, the bridge had already collapsed. As the car moved forward, the bridge collapsed, chasing after them. Gravel and soil were constantly falling into the river. The rumbling sound of the collapse was constantly transmitted to Xia Dong's ears. Her heart was in a mess. She grabbed the seatbelt with one hand and firmly protected her abdomen with the other. The bridge in front could no longer bear the weight of the car. The Maybach car began to tilt, and it was getting worse and worse. Bailey Han's expression didn't change. He stared at the open space at the bridgehead and didn't hesitate to step on the accelerator and rush up. Xia Dong could feel the rapid turbulence of the car with her eyes closed. She broke out in a cold sweat and her back was cold. She was so nervous that all the muscles in her body began to stiffen. The crack had already extended to the bridgehead and the 2 rear wheels of the car began to slowly fall. Bailey Han's forehead was also sweating, but his expression was still calm. He stepped hard on the accelerator and accelerated to the maximum. The car leaped forward and rushed onto the road at the bridgehead. After driving for some distance and confirming that it was safe, he let Xia Dong and the others open their eyes. Xia Dong turned her head and looked back. The entire bridge had collapsed into the river. The stones and soil slowly sank into the river, and she could vaguely see sections of the broken bridge. Lilith let out a wah and burst into tears. Xia Dong was still scared. Although she didn't show it on her face, her voice was trembling. Did the tractor fall? Bailey Han looked into her eyes. Yes. Xia Dong's body began to tremble. She wanted to take out her phone to call the police, but because her fingers were trembling too much, she kept making mistakes when pressing numbers. Bailey Han grabbed her hand and took the phone from her to call the police. Lilith's crying was too loud. Bailey Han had to get out of the car and make a call. He clearly described the situation at the scene. And the tractor that had fallen into the river. By the time he came back, Xia Dong had calmed down a lot. She had to calm down. Being emotional was not good for the children. She asked Bailey Han, "Will they still be alive?" Bailey Han knew that she was asking about the family of 3 on the tractor. He remained silent and didn't answer. The answer was self-evident. Falling from such a high place, with stones and soil falling continuously, and the rushing river, how could they still be alive? Xia Dong's eyes were filled with sadness. In the face of disaster, humans were very fragile. Xia Dong pulled the crying Lilith into her arms and hugged her tightly. She comforted her gently. "Lilith, don't be afraid. It's all right now. Don't be afraid." Under her gentle comforting voice, Lilith's trembling body gradually calmed down. She also gradually regained consciousness. Her eyes were filled with tears. She looked up at Xiaodong. Chief Editor, are we still alive? Xiaodong nodded firmly. We're still alive. In fact, we're going to live better than before. After experiencing life and death, one would become braver. The two of them gradually calmed down. Bailey Han said slowly, let's leave this place as soon as possible. Xiaodong nodded silently. Come and see, Songshu 566. Chapter 98. Bailey Han glanced at her and started the car. After driving for almost an hour, the police cars and ambulances drove in the direction of the collapsed bridge. The last police car stopped them and asked about the situation. After learning that they were the ones who called the police took down their contact information and said that they would be invited to record their statements when they returned to the city. Bailey Han and the other two were very cooperative. In the end, the police bowed to the three of them and got into the car to chase after the police car in front. Xiaodong then remembered that with the bridge collapsed, the people at the car repair shop would not be able to cross the river and repair the car. Similarly, Jiang Dao would not be able to return to the city. She quickly contacted Jiang Dao and briefly told him what had happened. After Jiang Dao heard it, his back was instantly drenched in cold sweat and his heart trembled. Luckily, Miss Xia was fine. Otherwise, when the boss came back, he would definitely be killed. After a long while, Jiang Dao said, Miss Xia, it's good that you're fine. You don't have to worry about the car. I'll think of a way to return to the city tomorrow. Please take care of yourself. Okay, I got it. You be careful too. It was already past 9 at night when they returned to the city. Lilith had calmed down a lot. She said that she would take a taxi back and asked Bailey Han to drop her off at the intersection. Only Bailey Han and Xiaodong were left in the car. Bailey Han glanced at her. After a while, he said, tell me the address. I'll send you back. No need. I'll take a taxi back too. I've already troubled you today. Bailey Han emphasized, tell me the address. Xiaodong knew that he was a very stubborn person. If he insisted on something, he would definitely do it. She could only tell him the address. Bailey Han drove her to the neighborhood without a word. When she got out of the car, her legs were a little weak. She tried to stand straight and smiled. Thank you for today. Bailey Han said lightly, go upstairs. Xiaodong nodded and walked step by step to the elevator. Bailey Han watched her figure disappear into the corridor before he started the car and drove away. After entering the elevator, Xiaodong's fake calmness collapsed. She leaned against the elevator and watched as the numbers continued to rise. Finally, it stopped at her floor. The moment the elevator door opened, the smile returned to her face, and she pressed the doorbell of her house. Mommy, you're back. Xiao Guai threw herself into her arms. Mom, why are you so late? Did anything happen on the way home? Xiao Bao had calculated the schedule. His mother should have reached home more than an hour ago. It's okay. Mommy was playing with those kids for a while, so I was delayed. Have you guys eaten? We've already eaten, and the nanny has already bathed us. Okay, then Mommy will send you back to your room to rest. Xiaodong carried her daughter. Gigai, did you listen to Auntie and take your medicine today? Yes, take your medicine. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? It was stuffy here in the afternoon, but I'm fine now. Xiao Guai pointed to her chest. Xiaodong hugged her tightly and said gently, if you feel uncomfortable in the future, you have to tell Mommy immediately. If Mommy isn't around, you have to tell Auntie, okay? Yes, I know. Xiaodong put her daughter on the bed and covered her with a blanket. She told her daughter jokes to cheer her up. Suddenly, she said, Mommy, I really want to go back to kindergarten. Xiaodong stroked her daughter's hair gently and said gently, Gigai, you're sick now, so you can't go to kindergarten for the time being. Let's go back when you're better, okay? Xiao Guai pursed her lips and her big eyes were filled with tears. She said pitifully, but the garden party is coming, and I want to perform on stage with brother. Xia Dong gently wiped the tears from her face and said softly, Gigai, Mommy will tell the teacher that you can't go to kindergarten before you're better, but on the day of the garden party, I'll let you perform on stage, okay? Xiao Guai shook her arm and looked at her with tears in her eyes. Mommy, when will I be better? When can I go to kindergarten? Xia Dong squatted in front of her bed and hugged her tightly. Gigai, believe Mommy, it won't be long. 10 months, in 10 months, you can go back to kindergarten. 10 months, it seems like a long time, not long at all. Xia Dong stroked her head and smiled. Gigai, you've been in Mommy's stomach for 10 months, but Mommy thinks that it's a very short time. Really? She looked at her with her big eyes and looked so serious. Really, Mommy never lies to Xiao Guai. Xiao Guai smiled through his tears. His smile was bright and dazzling. He nodded vigorously. Okay, then I'll listen to Mommy obediently. I'll go back to kindergarten after I recover. You're Mommy's good baby. Mommy will sing for you. Xia Dong stroked her daughter's hair and sang a lullaby softly. After 10 minutes, her daughter fell asleep. She bent over and kissed her daughter's forehead and gently closed the door. The light in Xiao Bao's room was still on. Xia Dong knocked on the door and pushed it open before he could answer. Xiao Bao hurriedly closed his laptop and rolled his eyes cutely. Mom, you're invading my privacy again. Xia Dong smiled mischievously. No, I didn't. I knocked. But I didn't say, come in. Xiao Bao whined with a sour face. Xia Dong sat on his bed and pretended to peek at his laptop. Xiao Bao hugged the laptop and wiggled his little butt away from her. He said angrily, I won't let you see it. Xia Dong laughed and said, even if you don't let me see it, I know what you're busy with. Are you worried about what to prepare for the garden party and how to dress up Bailey? Are you searching for information online or asking others what to prepare for? Xiao Bao's eyes widened. Finally, he turned his head away awkwardly and puffed up his face. No. Forget it. Since you're not, then I'll keep my good idea. Oh, what a pity. My peerless good idea, Xia Dong pretended to stretch and stood up to walk to the door. I'm so sleepy. I'd better go back to sleep, Mommy. A certain child quickly jumped off the bed and hugged her thigh. He rubbed against her without any restraint. Mommy, what good idea do you have? Tell me. His soft and gentle voice really made one feel tender and protective towards him. Xia Dong glanced at him and sighed sadly. But I don't respect my son's privacy, no. Mommy, you're the most democratic and respect my privacy the most. Then you're not worried about the program, Mommy, the little bun-like face pouted. He raised his little chin and looked at her pitifully with watery eyes. He complained plaintively, Mommy, you're bullying me, boo-hoo. Okay. I won't tease you anymore. Xia Dong was helpless against her son's ability to act pitiful. She bent down and carried his little body to the bed. She said, my idea is very simple. It's cosplay. Cosplay? Xiao Bao's eyes widened. That's right. Xia Dong rubbed her chin and looked at her son up and down. Good son, there's also a child as talented as you in anime. His name is Conan Adagawa. I know. It's the famous detective Conan. Xiao Bao's eyes lit up at the reminder. Mom, your idea is unprecedented. Thank you, Mom. Xiao Bao kissed her on the cheek. At noon the next day, Xia Dong had just finished lunch and returned to the office when she received a call from Jiang Dao. Miss Xia, I've returned to the city and am accompanying Miss Gigai at your house. So fast. It must be very tiring. Jiang Dao, you should take a rest first. No, I'm fine. According to Jiang Dao, he experienced a series of twists and turns from taking a bus to taking a boat to taking a bus to returning to the city. As for the off-road vehicle that broke down halfway, its fate was even more complicated. In the end, it was towed back to City A by the towing company using a ferry. Xiaodong paused and asked, when you crossed the river where the bridge collapsed, the family of 3 fell into the river. What happened to them? When they were salvaged, they had already stopped breathing. I heard that their family has already claimed their bodies. Although she already knew the answer, Xiaodong still felt a little sad when she heard it confirmed. In the afternoon, the police station called her and asked her and Lilith to make a statement. When Xiaodong and Lilith arrived at the police station, they found that Bailey Han was also there. Bailey Han glanced at them and nodded coldly. Xiaodong also nodded at him. The police recorded her basic information and said politely, Miss Xia, please tell us what happened at that time. The car drove for about 20 meters, and I found that the bridge was shaking. Xiaodong tried hard to recall the situation at that time, and her fingers involuntarily clenched. Lilith's emotions fluctuated even more. Her voice was trembling, and she almost burst into tears. Bailey Han was very calm. Even the police couldn't help but praise him after listening to his account. Mr. Bailey, your psychological quality is very good. If you didn't make a prompt decision, I'm afraid that something bad would have happened to you. Bailey Han smiled faintly and didn't say anything. After making a statement last night, the 3 of them walked out of the police station. Just as they walked to the gate, a Lamborghini stopped. Su Yunxian hurriedly got out of the car and jogged to Bailey Han. She said anxiously, Han, I just called your office. Linda said that you were at the police station. What happened? Bailey Han comforted her. Don't worry, it's nothing. I'm just making a statement. Didn't you go to the groundbreaking ceremony of Yutong Elementary School yesterday? What happened that you need to make a statement? Bailey Han didn't want her to worry. He only said, something small happened on the way back. What the hell happened? Bailey Han sighed and said, the bridge we passed collapsed. Collapsed? Su Yunxian's beautiful eyes surged with panic. She pulled him to look left and right. She didn't find any injuries on him, and then she calmed down. Her eyes flashed. We mean? Su Yunxian then noticed that there were 2 people standing beside Bailey Han. They were Xiaodong and her assistant. Su Yunxian immediately understood. It turned out that Han and Xiaodong went to the groundbreaking ceremony together. She smiled and looked at Xiaodong. Her eyes were a little cold. So Miss Xia went to the groundbreaking ceremony with Han. Xiaodong said faintly, Miss Su, let me correct you. I was invited to the groundbreaking ceremony, and so was Mr. Bailey. We are independent individuals. There is no such thing as together. So it's like this. Su Yunxian's expression didn't change. She smiled indifferently and said, Miss Xia, Han and I are going to get married on the 15th of next month. If you can come to our wedding, we will be very happy. Isn't that right, Han? Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 99. Bailey Han's eyes narrowed. There was no expression on his face, but he clenched his fists. Soon, he loosened them and said, yes. Xiaodong smiled calmly. Congratulations. I'm very happy to be able to attend your wedding. Thank you, Su Yunxian said softly as she held Bailey Han's arm elegantly. Han, let's go back. Bailey Han glanced at Xiaodong and got into the car with Su Yunxian. Bailey Han sat in the driver's seat and Su Yunxian sat beside him. She said sadly, Han, why didn't you tell me that the bridge collapsed? It's such a big thing. If I didn't find out, were you planning to keep it from me? I just didn't want you to worry. I'm fine now, aren't I? Su Yunxian felt wronged. What if something happened? You and Xiaodong went through life and death together, but you don't even want to tell me the truth. Bailey Han suddenly braked and turned to look at her with a serious expression. Yunxian, Xiaodong and I just happened to meet on the road. Her car broke down, so I gave her a ride. Nothing happened between us. Okay, I know. I was just too worried about you. I said the wrong thing. Don't be angry, okay? Su Yunxian hugged his arm and acted coquettishly. Bailey Han smiled. Don't tell my family about this, especially Grandma. I don't want them to worry. Do you understand? Okay, I'll keep it a secret. Su Yunxian leaned into his arms and said, Han, I was really scared just now. Promise me that you won't hide anything from me in the future. In a low voice, he said, okay. She looked up and smiled. Do you have time this afternoon? My wedding dress has been sent over from France. Can you accompany me to try on the wedding dress? Bailey Han frowned. I have a meeting in the afternoon. How about tonight? Come to my house tonight. As expected of a famous French designer, Su Yunxian's wedding dress was very beautiful. It was bare-shouldered, revealing the slender and beautiful lines of her neck. Bits of broken diamonds were inlaid in the chest area. The hemline of the dress was a high-grade French snow-white transparent chiffon. It looked solemn and beautiful, like a dream. Bailey Han was very satisfied. Su Yunxian pulled him aside and took a photo of herself with her phone. When she went back to her room to change her clothes, she sent a text message to Su Xingchen. In the message, she said, Xingchen, help me see if this wedding dress is pretty. 10 minutes later, she received a reply from Su Xingchen. It was very beautiful. Sister Yunxian, I have a gift for you. It will be mailed to your office tomorrow. Please sign for it the next day. Su Yunxian opened the gift Su Xingchen gave her in her office. Her face was pale. It was a medical report. It showed that the person involved was pregnant for 2 weeks. The name of the person involved was Xia Dong. This wasn't a big deal. The problem was that there was a stack of photos under the medical report. They were all secretly taken by Xia Dong and Bailey Han. It seemed that they were seducing each other. First, Xiao Tianxing and Bailey Han were talking about something. Then, Bailey Han looked at the direction of the bar counter and walked towards the private room. Then, Xiao Tianxing helped a drunk woman from the bar counter into the private room. Although the photo only showed the back of that woman, even if she turned into ashes, Su Yunxian would recognize her. She was Xia Dong. According to the date of the photo, it coincided with the date of Xia Dong's pregnancy. Was this a coincidence, or was it true? Su Yunxian's face was pale. She leaned against the office chair. Her phone rang. It was Su Xingchen. Sister Yunxian, did you receive the gift? I took those photos with my own hands. Also, I noticed that Brother Han stayed in the private room for more than half an hour. Why don't you ask his servants if he came home that night? Su Yunxian's laughter sounded so innocent and considerate, but Su Yunxian knew that her cousin was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Su Yunxian said calmly, this is between me and Han. You don't have to worry about it. After speaking, she hung up the phone. The photos in front of her and Su Xingchen's words were like the venom of a poisonous snake. They corroded Su Yunxian's rationality. She gritted her teeth and dialed the number in Bailey Han's villa. The housekeeper picked up. The housekeeper was steady and experienced. He was very trusted by Bailey Han. If she asked him rashly, he wouldn't tell her the truth. Su Yunxian used a roundabout tactic. Housekeeper, I remember that I forgot a piece of jewelry in Han's bedroom on the night of June 2nd. Please have someone keep it well. I'll come and get it when I have time. The other side of the phone was silent for a while. Then, he said, Miss Su, if I remember correctly, you didn't come to the villa on June 2nd. Did I remember wrongly? I still remember that Han came back very late that night. He didn't come home until 1 in the morning. Miss Su, you must have remembered wrongly. Young master didn't come home on the night of June 2nd. He only came back the next day. You said that it might be June 12th, don't worry, I'll have someone keep the jewelry well. Su Yunxian's hand gripped the phone tightly. Her knuckles turned white. She smiled and said, I see. Housekeeper, thank you. June 2nd was the date of the photo shoot. Han didn't come home as expected. Su Yunxian's mind was filled with the scene of Bailey Han and Xia Dong entangled in bed. She slumped against the back of the chair and didn't move for a long time. She wanted to directly question Bailey Han, but she held back. They were going to hold their wedding in half a month. She didn't want to complicate things because of this. Her head hurt. What should she do? Su Yunxian looked at herself in the mirror in pain. After about 5 minutes, she finally calmed down and dialed a number. A voice came from the phone. Sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service. She hung up the phone. Soon, she received a call from an unknown number. A man's deep voice came through. I'm your godfather. Godfather, what's the best way to get rid of a woman's child without getting into trouble? It's an accident. No one will know. Su Yunxian smiled. Very good. I'll reward you with 2 million yuan. Within 5 days, find an assassin to help me get rid of the child in this woman's belly. She didn't want her to die for the time being. Since she wanted the child, she would destroy her. Only in this way would she suffer more. She sent Xia Dong's photo to the man nicknamed Godfather and reminded him, as far as I know, there's a powerful person behind her. I hope your people can really do it without anyone knowing. Don't worry. I've been in this business for many years, and I've never failed. Godfather was an intelligence officer of an underground assassin organization. All the assassins in a city bought information and received tasks through him. As long as he released the task of the employer, a large number of assassins would come to him. Then he would choose an assassin to complete the task according to the employer's requirements. Of course, no matter whether the task was successful or not, Godfather would take 10% of the reward as commission. No one knew the real identity and face of Godfather. Su Yunxian didn't know either. She got his contact information by chance. Glamour Magazine, Chief Editor's Office. Xia Dong was busy preparing the report of this month. Her right hand habitually touched the cup and found that the tea inside was empty. So she said to Lilith through the internal line, Lilith, please make a cup of tea for me. Lilith quickly came in. When she was about to go out with the teacup, she suddenly thought of something and asked mysteriously, Chief Editor, have you had that in the past 2 days? Xia Dong looked up blankly. What? Lilith smiled. Your period. No. Lilith blinked. That's good. Xia Dong didn't know what she was doing and didn't have time to ask, so she let her be. Soon, Lilith put the brewed tea on her right hand. Xia Dong was almost done preparing the documents and the tea was cold. She picked it up and took a sip. It tasted different from the tea she was used to. She looked at the tea leaves in the teacup and saw that they were very thin red petals. Because she was pregnant, she paid special attention to her diet. When she saw that the tea leaves had changed, she called Lilith over to ask about it. Lilith, what tea is this? It doesn't look like the kind I drink. Lilith smiled and said, Chief Editor, this is saffron. It's good for a woman's health. I see that you don't look too good recently. Drinking saffron can replenish your blood. But people who are on their period and pregnant can't drink it. So I just asked if you were on your period. Xia Dong's hands trembled and she almost overturned the teacup. Although she didn't know much about medicine, she still knew about saffron. In all the harem dramas, there would be concubines who would have a miscarriage because of this thing. Moreover, saffron was tens or even hundreds of times more potent than saffron. Chief Editor, what's wrong with you? You don't look well. Are you feeling unwell? Xia Dong forced a smile and said, I've been suffering from insomnia recently, so I'm a little dizzy. But it's okay. I'll go to the hospital later to get some medicine. Then hurry up. The afternoon meeting starts at 4 o'clock. You can still make it. Okay, I'll go after I organize this document. Although she had only taken a sip, Xiaodong was still a little worried and decided to go to the hospital for a checkup. She frowned and said, "Lilith, saffron is a very precious herb. How did our editorial department get this?" Lilith smiled and said, "It was sent by a reader. I heard that she lives in Shangri-La. Her grandfather is a Tibetan doctor, so he sent us saffron and some small gifts. Everyone has one." Chief editor, wait a moment. I'll bring it to you. Lilith brought over a pillow and a small sachet, both of which were handmade in a typical Tibetan style. She explained with a smile, "This pillow is filled with dried herbs that help you sleep. It can relieve your insomnia. This small sachet is filled with their specialty spices. I heard that it has the effect of preventing miscarriage." Chief editor, smell it. It smells good. Xiaodong took the sachet and smelled it. The fragrance was not very strong, but it made her feel refreshed. Since it had the effect of preventing miscarriage, she would carry it with her. Maybe it could alleviate the influence of saffron. She put the sachet into her handbag. Taking advantage of the lunch break, Xiaodong went to the hospital. Lin Shihao happened to have time and helped her do a checkup. He said that the fetus was normal and there was no problem. Xiaodong was relieved. She opened her handbag and put the checkup report in. A faint fragrance wafted out of the sachet. Lin Shihao frowned and asked, "What's this smell?" Xiaodong took out the sachet and handed it to him. "It's from this sachet. I heard that it has the effect of preventing miscarriage. Come and take a look." Xinwu 799. Chapter 100. Lin Shihao put it to his nose, closed his eyes, and sniffed it carefully. Suddenly, he stood up and strode out of the door. Xiaodong was puzzled. "Shihao, what are you doing?" After a minute, Lin Shihao came back. His face was a little pale as he said, "I threw away the sachet." Xiaodong was confused. "Why? What's wrong with that sachet?" Lin Shihao said seriously, "There's nothing wrong with the sachet itself, and the perfume inside does have the effect of preventing miscarriage. However, if this perfume is used together with saffron, it will cause a miscarriage. Didn't you say that you drank a sip of saffron at noon? So you have to throw away this sachet quickly. Otherwise, the child will be in danger." Xiaodong's back was covered in cold sweat. She was scared. "Fortunately, you found out. How do you know this perfume?" Lin Shihao explained, "My grandfather is an old Chinese medicine doctor. I learned a lot of pharmacology from him before. This perfume is extracted from a kind of herb. Fortunately, I still remember the smell." Xiaodong was very glad. If it weren't for Lin Shihao, the child would have been in danger. Lin Shihao reminded her, "Be careful in the future. Don't touch those flowers and plants again. Everything has its opposite. If something that seems to be beneficial to the body is used together with something else, it may cause harm to the body." "I understand. I'll be more careful." "Shihao, thank you." Xiaodong decided that when she got back, she would get rid of the pillow with the herbs. These few days, Xiaodong felt that her luck was extremely bad. When she was driving, she almost collided with an oncoming truck. She hurriedly turned the steering wheel, but in the end, she still hit the guardrail on the side of the road. Fortunately, the airbag protected her body. Although she was shocked, she managed to adjust her emotions in time. The baby only gave her a stomachache because of his temper, but it was nothing serious. The BMW was damaged and sent for repair. The insurance agent arranged to meet Xiaodong at the cafe next to the company. When she took the elevator, a delivery man pushed a small cart and quickly squeezed in. The narrow space became even narrower with the help of the trolley. Xiaodong had nowhere to retreat, so she stayed close to the trolley. While the elevator was ascending, it suddenly shook, and the boxes stacked on top of the trolley fell toward her. She quickly caught the boxes with her hands, but the boxes below loosened and hit her abdomen. She quickly raised her leg and used the strength of her leg to block the box. What's wrong with you? This miss was almost hit by your cart. The people around finally reacted and helped Xia Dong carry the box while scolding the delivery man. The delivery man apologized profusely. Forget it, you didn't do it on purpose. Xia Dong sighed weakly and rubbed her knee that was hurting. Accidents happened one after another. Xia Dong went to the bathroom and almost fell on her face on the waxed floor. Fortunately, she had practiced martial arts and was agile enough to grab the sink in time. When the light turned green and they crossed the sidewalk, someone rushed over and almost hit her in front of a speeding car. Because the BMW was being repaired, Jiang Dao had been driving her to and from work for the past few days. On this day, Xia Dong went downstairs and found that the driver had changed from Jiang Dao to Mika Keto. Xia Dong was pleasantly surprised. Brother Shen, you're back from Japan. How's it going? Beitang Shen's lips curled up. I've already dealt with it. But why do you look so tired? Did you not sleep well? Xia Dong did not tell anyone about the unlucky things that had happened recently, including the two children. She did not want them to be depressed. As soon as Mika Keto asked, she began to pour out her grievances. I don't know what happened, but I've been very unlucky these past few days. I almost got into a car accident while driving, almost got hit by a falling box in the elevator, got hit by someone while walking, and almost fell down in the bathroom. Mika Keto's eyes suddenly narrowed and his expression became serious. Xia, tell me more about it. Affected by his emotions, Xia Dong also became serious and recounted the events of the past few days in detail. After Mika Keto listened, his expression became serious and his eyebrows were mixed with depression. He said slowly, Xia, I don't think these are accidents. It's very likely that someone did it. It was not like Xia Dong had never been schemed against before. She knew that someone was trying to harm her behind her back. After hearing what he said, she also felt that there were many suspicious points. Even the gift from the so-called readers of Shangri-La was starting to sound suspicious. What is this person's motive? Did they want to kill her? But some of the methods were too childish, such as waxing the floor. Did they expect her to fall to her death? No, wait. Xia Dong suddenly widened her eyes and exclaimed excitedly, children. Their target is children. Mika Keto's eyes flashed with admiration. He nodded and said, that's right. Since the saffron incident, the other party has been weaving a trap and waiting for you to jump into it. He was still a little scared and looked deeply at her. Fortunately, you have good skills and good luck. Xia, from today onwards, I will send someone to secretly protect you. He has learned ninjutsu and is very good at disguising and hiding. He will usually disguise himself as anyone and lurk around you. When you are in danger, he will immediately come out to protect you. His name is Lu Xing and he will only listen to you. Xia Dong didn't know that Lu Xing was the best assassin in the Sanka group and had been sent by Mika Keto to protect her. Su Yunxian was furious and roared into the phone, it's been 5 days. You haven't completed the mission. Godfather, didn't you say that there would be no problem? Now that the mission has failed, how are you going to explain it? The man said in a low voice, give me 1 more day. I promise to complete the mission. Su Yunxian sneered, what if it fails again? I won't take a single cent from the 2 million and I'll give you a killing job. You can request a mission at any time. Okay, you have to keep your word. I, Godfather, have never ruined my own reputation. Just as the other party was about to hang up, Su Yunxian suddenly said, wait, I suddenly changed my mind. I have a better way to deal with her. She lowered her voice and told him her plan. Then, she made a mysterious call and said in English, darling, I want to borrow your bliss. The person on the other end of the phone said coldly, how do you know about the existence of the bliss? She chuckled. Darling, don't be so nervous. Since we are already partners, you have to trust me. As long as you help me get rid of the person I don't like, I will naturally help you get what you want. In order to thank the community for their donations to Yutong Primary School, the Charity Foundation specially held a charity cocktail party. As the organizer of the event, Xia Dong was invited to attend the cocktail party. There were many famous people at the cocktail party, including Su Yunxian and Bai Lihan. Su Yunxian was holding Bai Lihan's arm. Su Yunxian was wearing a white evening gown, while Bai Lihan was wearing a white tuxedo. They were a perfect match. Their arrival attracted everyone's attention. Xia Dong also followed the crowd's gaze and looked over. However, she only took a glance and looked away. Bai Lihan immediately saw Xia Dong standing beside Mika Keto. She was wearing a dark purple off-shoulder evening gown. Her hair was combed into a bun with pearl hairpins and a pearl necklace around her slender neck, which perfectly complemented the pearl hairpins. Mika Keto lowered her head and whispered something to her. She smiled and her eyes were like rippling waves. It was a beautiful sight. Bai Lihan suddenly felt that this scene was a little dazzling, especially her smile. Han, please. Su Yunxian gently tugged at Bai Lihan's arm. What did you just say? Bai Lihan was in a daze and didn't hear her at all. Su Yunxian's eyes moved and she smiled. I just said that I want to go over there and say hello to my friends. I'll come over to look for you later, okay? Okay. Bai Lihan let go of her hand. Su Yunxian smiled and walked over to her friends. Bai Lihan stood there in silence for a moment. Then he took a glass of wine from the waiter's tray and walked over to the balcony. Leaning against the balcony, he looked at the bustling night view and listened to the sounds of drinking in the hall. His heart was in a mess. He pinched his brows. It seemed that as long as he saw that woman, his heart would be in a mess. Did he really like her? After taking a sip of wine, Bai Lihan's furrowed brows gradually relaxed. It didn't matter if he liked her or not. It was all in the past. He already had Yunxian. He couldn't abandon her. Xia Dong and Mika Keto stood together and chatted for a while. Then someone came over to greet Mika Keto. Xia Dong knew that they were going to talk about something, so she took the initiative to walk away. She walked down the stairs and arrived at the courtyard. Sitting on a bench in the courtyard, she could see the bright moon in the sky. Xia Dong smiled and enjoyed this moment of tranquility. Suddenly, the sound of crying came from the grass in front of her. From the sound of it, it was a child. Xia Dong asked calmly, "Who's there?" The sound of crying suddenly stopped. There was the sound of rustling in the grass. Then, a small figure crawled out from the grass. With the help of the light, Xia Dong could see clearly that it was a child of 2 or 3 years old. His chubby arms were placed in front of his eyes as he wiped them back and forth. After about 10 seconds, the child stopped wiping his tears and babbled, "Mommy, Mommy," so it was a lost child. Her mother must be very anxious now. Xia Dong walked to the little girl and squatted down. She said gently, "I'm not your mommy, but I can take you to your mommy. Can you tell me your name?" The little girl shook her head. Her face was blank. Xia Dong asked again, "Then do you know your mommy's name?" The little girl smiled brightly. "Mommy." Xia Dong didn't give up. She stroked her soft hair and asked, "Baby, where did you come from? Maybe your mommy is over there." Pointed out to Auntie. The little girl tilted her head and looked at her. After a while, she suddenly stretched out her arm and pointed in the direction of the hall. Xia Dong confirmed, "You came from there?" The little girl nodded. "Looks like your mommy is also here for the charity reception. Let's go find her together." It wasn't convenient for Xia Dong to carry her, so she let her walk beside her. She held her hand and pulled her up the stairs. She immediately ran excitedly towards the hall with her short legs. Xia Dong was worried that she would fall, so she followed closely behind her. As her gaze was fixed on the child, she didn't notice Bai Lihan suddenly walking over from the balcony. The two almost collided, but Bai Lihan took a step back and avoided her. She smiled embarrassedly. "Sorry." Bai Lihan didn't say anything. His cold gaze fell on the little girl beside his leg. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 101. She took the initiative to explain, "It's a lost child. I'm taking her to look for her mommy." He nodded coldly and was about to leave when he realized that someone was tugging on his pants. He looked down and saw the little one looking up with a grin, her chubby little hand tugging on his pants. "Ah, baby, let go." Xia Dong quickly bent down and pried the little one's hand away. "Excuse me." Xia Dong nodded at Bailey Han. She wanted to leave with the child, but when she looked down, the child had already run away while she was talking. She followed and realized that the child had run to the washroom around the corner. Could it be that her mommy was in the washroom and she had snuck out while her mommy was in the washroom? Xia Dong entered the ladies' washroom with doubts. It was empty and there was no one inside. All the cubicle doors were closed. She called out tentatively, "Baby, where are you?" Just as she finished speaking, there was a knock from the last cubicle. She walked to the door and knocked. "Baby, are you in there?" The cubicle door suddenly opened a crack. Xia Dong reached out to push it open. Just as she was about to speak, she suddenly felt a pain in the back of her head and her vision turned black. She gritted her teeth and held onto the wall for support. No, it was her child. She couldn't fall. "Help!" Just as she was about to speak, a large hand covered her mouth tightly from behind. It hugged her body and dragged her into the cubicle behind her. Her head hurt and her consciousness started to blur. She vaguely saw the last cubicle door open with a creak. A woman in a cleaner's uniform walked out from inside. Beside her feet stood the little girl. Xia Dong couldn't hold on any longer. She finally closed her eyes and fell into the arms of the person behind her. The moment Xia Dong chased the little girl to the ladies' washroom, a man wearing black-rimmed glasses also strolled over. His steps seemed leisurely, but his speed was extremely fast. He was Xia Dong's personal bodyguard. Lu Xing stood in the corridor of the ladies' washroom and waited quietly. From an outsider's perspective, they would think that he was waiting for his female companion. 2 minutes passed, but Xia Dong still hadn't come out. His eyes under the meteor glasses suddenly flashed, and he rushed into the bathroom. Ah, the one who screamed was the cleaner. You pervert, this is the ladies' room." Lu Xing turned a deaf ear to him and quickly checked every cubicle. Every cubicle was empty. He grabbed the cleaner's collar and his cold eyes were filled with anger. "Did you see a woman in a purple evening gown?" No, I'm the only one here." The cleaner's face was full of horror as he shrank his neck. "You're still lying. She hasn't gone out since she walked into the bathroom. If you've been cleaning here, how could you not have seen her?" Lu Xing grabbed her neck. "If you don't tell the truth, I'll take your life." The cleaner cried in horror, They warned me not to say it out loud. Who are they?" "No, I don't know, Lu Xing's eyes narrowed dangerously, and he increased the strength of his hand. The cleaner's face turned purple, and tears flowed out of her eyes. I'll say it. I beg you." Lu Xing slightly relaxed the strength of his hand. The cleaner coughed and said, "Just now, 2 men in black suddenly jumped out of the cubicle and kidnapped the lady you were talking about." She pointed to the last 2 cubicles. "It's there." "Where did they leave from?" Lu Xing had been guarding the door. "They couldn't have passed through there." "No, I don't know." The cleaner covered her face in fear. "They pointed a gun at me. I closed my eyes and didn't dare to look. When I opened my eyes, they were gone." Lu Xing's sharp eyes quickly swept across the empty washroom, and finally fell on the nearly 2-meter-high window. The window glass was pushed open. Did they escape from there? He pushed the cleaner away, climbed up the window, and jumped down from the 2-meter-high position. There was a soft lawn below, and there were messy footprints on the lawn. He quickly analyzed that there was a path here that led to the back door of the hotel. It seemed that they had indeed chosen this path. Lu Xing turned the sound sensor on his wrist and reported in a low voice, "Boss, something bad has happened. Miss Xia has been kidnapped." They went through the back door. Mika Keto was chatting with a client when she suddenly heard Lu Xing's voice. Her expression changed, and she said, "Sorry," to the client and left quickly. As she walked, she informed Jiang Dao, "Send people to block all the exits of the hotel. Don't let anyone leave." Just as Lu Xing jumped out of the window, the cleaner picked up the black garbage bag and put it on the trolley. She calmly pushed the trolley into the staff elevator, went down to the basement, and moved the garbage bag out through the staff passageway. She looked back from afar and saw a group of men in black blocking all the exits of the hotel. They were checking the cars and guests entering and leaving one by one. The hotel manager was standing at the door, bowing and apologizing to the guests. She curled her lips and revealed a strange smile. There was a truck full of garbage parked by the roadside. Seeing her coming, a bearded man who looked like a driver jumped out of the truck and helped her carry the black garbage bag. He was about to throw the garbage bag into the truck, but the cleaner quickly stopped him. "White Tiger, be careful. The client said very clearly that we have to protect the child in her belly. F***ck, this is so troublesome. I don't know what the client is thinking." The bearded man put the garbage bag into the truck while cursing. "Stop complaining. They have a reward of 2 million yuan. Alright, now is not the time to talk. We have to send her out of the city tonight." The cleaner nimbly jumped into the truck and took off his hat, revealing his black hair. The bearded man also got into the truck, started the engine, and drove into another street in the blink of an eye. He looked sideways at the woman beside him, chewing gum in his mouth. "Suzaku, you're really something. You can kidnap the hostage under the noses of so many people. No wonder you're one of the top 3 killers in a city." Suzaku said calmly, "White Tiger, we can't be careless. You saw it just now. Mika Keto is not a simple person. He can gather so many men to search the hotel in just a few minutes. To be honest, I'm a little worried about whether we can leave a city smoothly." The bearded man was full of confidence. "Don't worry. Kidnapping and killing are your specialties. Escaping is also my specialty. I've arranged all the checkpoints." Suzaku patted his shoulder in appreciation. "I knew you wouldn't let me down. That's why I've always chosen to partner with you. One killed people, and the other designed escape routes. They cooperated seamlessly and had never failed." The truck passed through many checkpoints smoothly and drove out of the downtown area of a city. Before entering the highway, they changed into a high-performance car. The garbage truck was abandoned on the road. Anyway, it was stolen from the garbage station, so they didn't feel bad about it at all. The car drove on the provincial road at lightning speed. In the back seat, Suzaku opened the black garbage bag and slowly pulled it down, revealing Xiaodong's face. Suzaku touched her nose and shouted at the bearded man in the driver's seat, "White Tiger, you're too cruel. This woman is still unconscious." White Tiger raised his voice. "Isn't that good? If she wakes up, it'll be troublesome on the road." Vermilion Bird shook her head and helped Xiaodong lie down on the seat. First, she took out a pair of rubber gloves and put them on. Then, she rummaged under the seat and pulled out a small metal box. Inside the small metal box was a row of small potion bottles. The potion bottles contained a transparent liquid. She shook the small bottle and used a syringe to suck out all the liquid inside. Then, she raised Xiaodong's arm and injected all the liquid in the syringe into Xiaodong's body. White Tiger saw her actions through the mirror and asked curiously, "What's that?" Suzaku skillfully packed the small metal box. "I don't know. The client asked my godfather to send it over." White Tiger shrugged. "I guess it's not something good," Suzaku interrupted him. "Put away your curiosity. In order to live longer, it's better to know less about this kind of thing." She put the small metal box back to its original place and put on a disguise. She rested her hands behind her head and said lazily, "White Tiger, after this job, I plan to find a small island for a vacation. I'll come back after the news dies down. White Tiger laughed. That's really like you. But let's wait until we get the money. The car sped in the night, and the scenery on both sides of the road flashed by quickly. 2 hours had passed in City A, but Mika Keto and the others still had not found Xia Dong's whereabouts. The surveillance cameras outside the hotel had been tampered with and did not record anything. All the exits, including the staff's private passageways, were searched, but no suspicious person was found. Lu Xing was shocked and realized that he had overlooked something. The whole incident flashed through his mind quickly, starting from when Xia Dong and Boss parted ways and walked to the atrium, then back to the ladies' bathroom, and that. Lu Xing rushed to the hotel manager. Get me the information of all the staff in your hotel. Okay. The hotel manager hurriedly ordered the personnel department. Soon, someone turned on the computer and pulled up all the staff's information. Lu Xing moved the mouse and quickly browsed through it. Finally, his gaze fell on the cleaners column. He pointed at a person's photo and said, "Call this person over." Okay. Someone immediately obeyed the order and left. After a few minutes, that person hurriedly ran over. Manager, the cleaner fainted in the changing room. Get her over here. 2 hotel staff helped the unconscious cleaner over. Lu Xing touched her nose and checked her head. His face darkened. It was obvious that she had been knocked out from behind. He took out the medicine to wake her up and applied it to her nose. She quickly woke up and was startled. Who are you? Don't care who I am. Let me ask you, 2 hours ago, did you enter the ladies' bathroom in the lobby? No, what happened? I remember that when I was changing my clothes, my head suddenly hurt, and I don't know anything after that. Lu Xing checked the cleaner's wardrobe and found that her uniform was missing. It was obvious that someone had knocked her out, changed her clothes, and disguised as her to kidnap Miss Xia in the bathroom, and the cleaner he saw in the bathroom was someone else in disguise. Damn it, he actually listened to her and chased after her from the back door. It must have been at that time that the killer escaped with Miss Xia. After deducing all this, Lu Xing was filled with guilt. He bowed in front of Mika Keto. Boss, I fell into the enemy's trap and caused Miss Xia to be kidnapped. Please punish me. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 102. Mika Keto swept his gaze across the room. Other than the hotel manager, everyone else had been kicked out. Mika Keto did not look at Lu Xing. Instead, he walked up to the manager and said with a cold look in his eyes, "You know the consequences if what happened today gets out." The manager bowed in fear. Yes. I won't say a word. Very good. Keep your employees' mouths shut. Otherwise, I'll turn this hotel into ruins. Mika Keto's expression was cold. The manager nodded fiercely. After Mika Keto gave him the signal, he ran away in fear. In the end, only Mika Keto and Lu Xing were left in the lobby. Lu Xing was still bowing when Mika Keto suddenly grabbed his wrist. With a crack, the bones in his wrist were broken. His left hand hung limply. Lu Xing's expression was normal as he said, "Thank you for showing mercy, boss." Mika Keto said coldly, "Inform everyone to search the entire city. Also, make sure that news of Xia's disappearance doesn't leak out." Yes. Lu Xing bowed respectfully. When Mika Keto returned to Xia Dong's apartment, it was already late at night. He thought that the children were already asleep, but he did not expect to see the 2 little rascals huddled on the sofa, watching cartoons and waiting for him. Uncle Shen. Xiao Guai called out happily. You're back. Hey, where's mommy? Mika Keto changed his shoes and walked to the sofa to sit down. He said gently, "Your mommy has something to do at the last minute and has to go on a business trip. She'll be back in a few days." Ah. Xiao Guai's face fell in disappointment. Why didn't mommy tell us? Bad mommy. Xiao Bao's black eyes stared at Mika Keto without blinking. Suddenly, he grinned and stroked his sister's hair. Xiao Guai, mommy didn't do it on purpose. Don't blame her. It's getting late. You should sleep. Big brother will take you to your room, okay? Okay. Xiao Guai placed her little hand in her brother's and waved at Mika Keto. Good night, Uncle Shen. Mika Keto bent down and kissed her cheek. Good night. After a while, Xiao Bao came out of Xiao Guai's room, jumped onto the sofa, and walked over to Mika Keto. Uncle Shen, can you tell me the truth now? Where did Mom go? Mika Keto looked at him seriously. Xiao Bao, your mommy did have something to do. She went on a business trip. Like hell I'd believe you. Mom would never disappear for no reason. Even if she went on a business trip at the last minute, she would still call us to tell us where she was. Xiao Bao had an expression that said, go on, go on. Mika Keto rubbed her eyebrows. The child was too smart. It was troublesome. He patted his young shoulder. Actually, your mommy is in a bit of trouble. She's been kidnapped. What? Xiao Bao jumped up in shock and cried out, who would be so bold? No, that's not the main point. Is Mom in danger? Are there any clues about the kidnappers? Xiao Bao, don't worry. We're investigating. Trust me, we'll have news about your mommy soon. I won't let her get hurt. Mika Keto held his shoulder and said seriously. Xiao Bao's snow-white teeth bit his lower lip tightly. His little face scrunched up as he tried to calm down. However, he was a 4-year-old child after all. How could he not be worried when the person closest to him was kidnapped? His eyes turned red and tears fell from his eyes as he started to cry. Uncle Shen, do you think Mommy will be in danger? I'm so scared. Mika Keto pulled him into her arms. Her voice was soft but firm. No, I won't let your mommy be in danger. Although she had made this promise in front of the child, after a night, her subordinates still hadn't found any useful information. They couldn't trace Xia Dong's phone signal either. Although Mika Keto appeared calm on the surface, she was actually burning with anxiety. In the study, Mika Keto's face was gloomy. Lu Xing, who did Xia come into contact with last night? Lu Xing's fractured wrist had already been bandaged. He recounted all the people Xia Dong came into contact with last night, as well as the details. Mika Keto heard that before Xia Dong went missing, she was chasing a little girl and bumped into Bailey Han. Mika Keto frowned. That little girl might have been deliberately arranged by the kidnappers to lower Xia's guard and lure her into a trap. Do you still remember what she looked like? Lu Xing nodded and took the pen and paper from Jiang Dao. With just a few strokes, she sketched a portrait of the little girl on the paper. Mika Keto waved her hand. Jiang Dao, pass down the order. Get everyone to search for the little girl's whereabouts. One of her subordinates knocked on the door hurriedly and walked in. Boss, we've questioned all the hotel staff. Witnesses said they saw a cleaner pushing a garbage cart out of the hotel. Mika Keto was shocked. Send someone to check all the garbage trucks in the hotel area. Ask around at the garbage recycling station. The subordinate obeyed and left. Lu Xing hesitated for a moment and said, Boss, maybe we can ask Bailey Han. He was the last person Miss Xia saw before she went missing. At that time, the little girl even grabbed his pants and smiled at him as if she knew him. Before she could finish her sentence, Mika Keto had already flashed past her like lightning and disappeared at the door. Mika Keto's heart pounded wildly. Was it Bailey Han who did it? He was about to marry Su Yunqian. Did he want to get rid of Xia Dong because he found out that she was pregnant? At the door of the conference room of Shanghao Group, Linda anxiously stopped the aggressive Mika Keto. Mr. Beitang, you can't go in. The president is in a meeting. Beitang Shen suddenly exerted force and pushed her away. With a kick of his long leg, the door of the conference room opened with a bang. He stood at the entrance of the conference room like a black-faced thunder god. Everyone present at the meeting turned to look at him. They were stunned, shocked, and confused. All kinds of gazes were intertwined with each other. Linda was crying and kept apologizing. "I'm sorry, President. I couldn't stop him." Bailey Han looked at Mika Keto coldly. "Mr. Beitang, you'd better have a reasonable explanation." "This is my explanation." Beitang Shen suddenly rushed over, brandished his fist and heavily smashed it towards Qin Chao's face. Fortunately, Bailey Han nimbly dodged and avoided the fate of having his nose broken. Unfortunately, his laptop didn't escape this disaster. With a loud bang, it was swept to the ground by the force of his punch. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Then, they quickly reacted. When Bailey Han said, "Today's meeting will end here," they immediately scattered like birds and beasts and rushed out. Only Mika Keto and Bailey Han were left in the conference room. Mika Keto punched again and was furious. "Bailey Han, you bastard. How could you hurt Xia Xia like this?" Bailey Han quickly grabbed his fist and his eyes were filled with anger. "Mika Keto, what is the meaning of this? Are you still playing dumb?" Mika Keto didn't manage to hit him and raised his leg to sweep at his lower body. Bailey Han blocked his attack with one leg. The two of them were evenly matched. After more than 10 moves, the chairs in the conference room were knocked over and they were in a sorry state. The two of them held each other's arms, their murderous gazes intertwined, sparks flying. Their faces were injured and their hair was messy, but their auras were fierce and overbearing as they stared fiercely at each other. Mika Keto gritted her teeth. "Bailey Han, admit it. You kidnapped Xia Xia." Bailey Han's face darkened. "Mika Keto, explain yourself. What happened?" Mika Keto sneered. "You're still playing dumb. Last night, Xia Xia was kidnapped from the charity reception. Other than you, who else in City A could have done it without anyone knowing? It must be you. You thought she was a threat to your marriage with Su Yunxian, so you did this to her." Bailey Han's heart skipped a beat and his eyes were filled with disbelief. "Xia Dong, she was kidnapped." Mika Keto pressed his arms against his neck and said angrily, "Don't think I'll believe you just because you're pretending to be innocent." Bailey Han resisted the pressure on his neck and forcefully pushed his arm in front of him. He said coldly, "Whether you believe it or not, I didn't do it. Instead of having time to force me to confess, why don't you quickly send people to find her whereabouts?" Mika Keto's eyes were red and filled with murderous intent. "Do you think I don't want to find her? But damn it, I don't have a clue. Let go of me and I can help you." Bailey Han stared into his eyes. "I'll say it again. Her kidnapping has nothing to do with me. What's the matter with that child?" "Which child?" "Last night, Xia Xia chased a little girl into the bathroom. Then she was kidnapped. It's obvious that the little girl was bait. My men saw the little girl holding on to your trousers and smiling at you. What else do you want to say?" The veins on Bailey Han's forehead throbbed and he couldn't help but swear. "How the F***ck would I know why that child was holding on to my trousers? Damn it, I've said it many times. I have nothing to do with the kidnapping." Mika Keto stared into his eyes. He couldn't see any lies in his eyes, but he still couldn't trust him completely. He slowly withdrew his arms and said, "Help me find the clues within 24 hours. Otherwise, I'll treat you as the mastermind and show no mercy." Bailey Han flung his hands away angrily. He straightened his clothes and said coldly, "I'll give you 10 minutes to tell me what happened. Also, tell me the current situation of the investigation." Mika Keto's face darkened. He held back his anger and told him what happened. Bailey Han frowned and suddenly asked, "Did you ask your men to check the checkpoints out of the city? The kidnappers might have already left the city." Mika Keto's eyes narrowed. "That's right. They had been focusing on the city and had neglected the possibility of leaving the city. He immediately informed Jiang Dao to expand the search area. Bailey Han shook his head. It would be more convenient if the police were involved in this matter. It's all up to the mafia. If this gets out of hand, you'll get into trouble. No, once the police get involved, they might alert the kidnappers. If the kidnappers are angered, they'll do something to Xia Xia. Mika Keto was willing to put himself in danger for Xia Dong's safety. Bailey Han couldn't help but look at him. An hour later, Mika Keto's men came back with news. Boss, a garbage truck was found on the hillside at the entrance of the provincial highway. According to the garbage station, the truck was stolen last night. Mika Keto analyzed calmly. It must have been left behind by the kidnappers. There are 4 entrances to the provincial highway, each leading to 4 different provinces. Send some people to search these provinces. Awesome novel, Shinwu 799. Chapter 103. Bailey Han pondered for a moment and said, I have contacts in 2 of the provinces. I will ask them to help investigate in secret. Mika Keto nodded. When Xia Dong woke up, her head hurt. She frowned and opened her eyes. The next moment, she suddenly jumped up from the bed and looked at everything in front of her in disbelief. This was a house with mud walls. The low roof was covered with tiles. When she looked up, she could see bits and pieces of light shining in. If it was raining, it would definitely leak. This was the first time she saw what it meant to have 4 bare walls. In this room, there was nothing except for the shabby wooden bed, a small wooden table, and a small wooden stool. She couldn't help but laugh coldly. Did she transmigrate? Or did she transmigrate into the recently popular farming novels? She touched her face and body. Fortunately, she was still herself. She patted her forehead and slowly recalled. Finally, she remembered that she had chased a little girl to the washroom. Then, she was knocked unconscious by the person hiding in the cubicle. After that, she came to this strange place. She touched her stomach with both hands. It was very stable and normal. The baby in her stomach should be fine. She realized that she was wearing a shabby floral shirt. It looked a little like a fabric from the 80s. Her legs were a little sore, as if she had gone through a long journey. Xia Dong rubbed her legs, then turned over and got out of bed. She walked to the shabby wooden door and pushed it. She wanted to go out, but the wooden door was locked from the outside. After pushing for a long time, she could only hear the clanking of the iron lock. Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Xia Dong shouted as she pushed the door open. Soon, she heard hurried footsteps, followed by the sound of the door being unlocked. The door opened, and a man with messy hair and an unshaven beard stood at the door. The man was wearing shabby clothes, and his pants were rolled up to his knees. He was barefoot and his feet were covered in mud. The man looked to be in his 30s. His skin was very dark, and he grinned, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. Wife, you're finally awake. You scared me to death. The man spoke in a dialect, so Xia Dong couldn't understand him at all. She was stunned for a moment before she smiled and said, Brother, I don't understand what you're saying. Do you speak Mandarin? The man chuckled even more happily. Slapping his thigh with his large hand, he turned sideways and happily shouted in a certain direction, Mother, my wife is awake. The slave didn't lie to me. My wife is really from the city. Before Xia Dong could figure out what he was so happy about, an old woman in her 70s or 80s walked over shakily with a walking stick. She squinted her old eyes and sized up Xia Dong from head to toe. She kept nodding her head. This girl is very pretty. Big breasts and a big butt. She can give birth to a son. Xia Dong was flustered by the old woman's gaze. She smiled awkwardly and said, Grandma, do you understand what I'm saying? The old woman stretched her ears to listen to her. Xia Dong saw that the old woman was listening so seriously and thought that she understood what she meant. She looked at her expectantly. Grandma, may I ask where this place is? The old woman listened for a while before she suddenly laughed out loud. She patted the man standing next to her. Fugue, this girl is speaking the city dialect. It's so nice. Yes, mother. This wife is worth it. I didn't sell those two big white pigs for nothing. Isn't that so? Fugue, you and your wife will consummate the marriage tonight. Mother wants to hold a big fat grandson so badly. The old woman smiled as she stared at Xia Dong. She mumbled something that Xia Dong couldn't understand. Xia Dong felt helpless. She could tell that this old woman should be the man's mother. The two of them were speaking the local dialect. Unfortunately, she couldn't understand a word, and the two of them couldn't understand her Mandarin at all. After talking for so long, the two of them couldn't understand each other at all. Xia Dong thought for a while and said, "This big brother, and this old granny, oh no, this auntie, I don't know if you saved me, but I'm very grateful to you. When I get home, I'll definitely repay you." She didn't know if they could understand her. After saying this, Xia Dong bowed to the two of them to express her gratitude and was about to leave. But she had just taken a few steps and hadn't even walked out of the room when she was stopped by the man called Fugue. He grabbed her arm and pushed her into the room without any explanation. He slammed the door shut. Xia Dong was dumbfounded. When she came back to her senses, she rushed to the door and banged on it. Open the door and let me out." She shouted loudly for more than 10 minutes, but no one paid any attention to her. She finally understood that even if she shouted until her voice was hoarse, they wouldn't let her leave. She didn't know if they were in cahoots with the kidnappers or why they had locked her up here. She only knew that she had to leave this place and go home. She sized up the dilapidated house and thought of a way to escape. The roof was about 3 meters high. Even if she stood on the bed, she wouldn't be able to reach the roof. There were no ropes in the room either. It was almost impossible to escape through the roof. There were no windows in the room. The only exit was that door. She sat by the bed and thought of an escape strategy. She didn't know how long had passed. Suddenly, the sound of the iron lock being unlocked was heard. The door was pushed open slightly and a bowl of noodles was passed through the gap. Then, the door was tightly shut. His stomach began to growl. Xia Dong rubbed her stomach helplessly. She walked over and picked up the bowl of noodles. There were no side dishes. The noodles were cooked very mushy and stuck together. She lost her appetite just by looking at it. But for the sake of the child in her stomach, she had to eat it. Xia Dong frowned. She finished the noodles in small bites and put the bowl back at the door. After a while, she heard the sound of the iron lock being unlocked. The door was opened slightly again. A hand reached in and took away the bowl and chopsticks. She guessed that there was someone watching her outside the door. After a few minutes, she knocked on the door. "Open the door. I want to go to the toilet." "Open the door." After calling for a long time, no one paid attention to her. She held her stomach and cried out in pain. "Ouch, open the door. I can't take it anymore." Xia Dong's guess was right. There was someone watching her outside the door. Fu Gui peeked through the gap and said to the old lady who was weeding in the vegetable garden, "Mother, my wife is holding her stomach and screaming so loudly. Will something happen?" The old lady rolled her eyes and shouted, "What can happen? She must want to go to the toilet. Bring the pail of urine in." "Oh, okay." Fu Gui ran to the toilet in a panic and ran back with a wooden pail. He peeked through the gap in the door and saw Xia Dong squatting on the ground, moaning in pain. He opened the door with the key and brought the wooden pail in. "Wife, this pail of urine is for you. If you want to go to the toilet, you can do it in here." Fu Gui put the wooden pail in a corner and walked over to help Xia Dong. She stood up with the help of his arm. Seeing that she was fine, he grinned and scratched his head. "Wife, go to the toilet first." "I'm going out." Although she didn't understand what he was saying, she still nodded. Fu Gui was so happy that he laughed twice and turned to go out. Xia Dong's eyes flashed. Now was the time. She quickly raised her right hand and struck at the back of his head. Fu Gui screamed and fainted with a bang. Xia Dong was not in a hurry to escape. She walked to the door and carefully poked her head out to check. She found that it was a simple and crude small courtyard. In front of the house was a vegetable field. The old lady she saw earlier was bending over to weed in the field. Other than Fu Gui, who was lying in the room, there was no one else. She relaxed and ran out of the courtyard when the old lady wasn't paying attention. After leaving the courtyard, she found that she was in a very remote village. There were dilapidated mud walls and tiled houses everywhere. Weeds grew on both sides of the path. She didn't know which direction to go, so she randomly picked a path that looked relatively wide and ran along the path. She covered her stomach and didn't dare to run too fast. When she saw someone passing by, she lowered her head and slowed down, afraid that she would be caught by the kidnappers again. After walking for nearly half an hour, Xia Dong finally saw a bumpy road. At this moment, a hand-guided tractor rumbled over. She ran over and waved with all her might. "Master, stop the car. Please stop." The tractor stopped. The driver was a man in his 30s or 40s. His eyes weren't big and he looked like he was smiling. He seemed to be very easy to talk to. Xia Dong quickly said, "Master, I want to go to the city. Can you tell me how to get there?" "Go to the city?" The man spoke in Mandarin for the first time. Although it was a little clumsy, Xia Dong could understand. She nodded excitedly. Yes. "Master, I want to go to the city. How should I get there?" The man's gaze looked her up and down, making her feel very uncomfortable. She couldn't help but frown. The man seemed to feel her uneasiness and displeasure. He smiled. "I happen to want to go to the city too. Why don't I give you a ride?" "Really?" Xia Dong was so excited that her eyes shone. "Thank you so much." The man smiled. "Get in the car." "Okay, thank you, master." Xia Dong climbed into the car. The tractor rumbled on. After walking for nearly 10 minutes, Xia Dong felt that something was wrong. The direction they were heading in was the direction she had escaped in. Although one was a road and the other was a small path, they were heading in the same direction. Xia Dong shouted, "Master, stop the car." The man driving the tractor turned a deaf ear and continued to drive the tractor with a rumbling sound. The uneasiness in Xia Dong's heart grew stronger and stronger. She felt that the man was lying to her. She shouted, "Stop the car. If you don't stop the car, I'll jump down from here." The man finally reacted. He turned around to look at Xia Dong and chuckled. "Miss, the city is still far away. Don't worry." Xia Dong's face turned cold. "I'm not going to the city. Put me down." "How can that be? I promised to send you to the city, so I must send you there. Cut the crap and stop the car." Xia Dong climbed to the side of the tractor and made a gesture of jumping down. "Stop the car, or I'll really jump down." Although the distance was not high and the tractor was not fast, there were a lot of gravel on the road. If she jumped down, she would inevitably sprain and bruise. Don't be impulsive. "I'll stop immediately." When the man saw that she was serious, he rolled his eyes and slowly slowed down. He didn't stop the car until he arrived in front of a farmer's yard. As soon as the car stopped, Xia Dong got out of the car and was about to leave. Powerful novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 104. The man jumped down from the tractor and quickly ran up to grab her wrist. He shouted in dialect, "Kong Lauer, come out quickly." The wife that Wang Fugui bought ran away. "Come out quickly and catch her." "Let go of me." Xia Dong grabbed the man's wrist and threw him over her shoulder. Xia Dong held her stomach and started to run. Before she could run 2 steps, she heard the courtyard door open. She turned her head and saw a group of people running out with ropes and sticks. They were chasing after her. She gritted her teeth and increased her speed. If it was any other time, she would definitely be able to shake off this group of people with her speed. However, she was pregnant now and did not dare to run too fast. After running for a few hundred meters, she was surrounded by the group of people. Why are you running? No matter how fast you run, you can't run out of our village. Let me tell you, you can forget about going out for the rest of your life. Just obediently live with Wang Fugue. The man who drove the tractor followed her and surrounded her. He held his sore cheek and said in broken Mandarin. What do you mean? Who is Wang Fugue? Why should I live with him? Xia Dong asked as she quietly looked around. There were a total of 3 men and 2 women surrounding her. They were all holding ropes and sticks in their hands. It seemed that if she resisted, they would hit her head with the sticks. Wang Fugue, the man who bought you. You are now his wife. Xia Dong's body stiffened. You mean, I was kidnapped? My sister-in-law and I were also abducted by human traffickers. The men here couldn't get a wife, so they finally bought one. They treat their wives well. Don't worry, Wang Fugue is famous in the village for being an honest man. He will definitely treat you well. Xia Dong's mind was buzzing. She did not hear what the woman said. When she came back to her senses, her hands were already tied. The tall woman was still comforting her. Sister, don't be sad. At first, I couldn't accept it and ran away a few times. My second brother never hit me once and even begged me to live with him. In the end, my heart died and I gave birth to a fat boy for him. Look, we are living well now. Xia Dong shook her head. No, big sister, listen to me. I can't stay here. I still have family in a city, and, before she could say the word child, she was interrupted by the woman. Who doesn't have family? We all have family members who were kidnapped and sold here, but aren't husbands and children family members? When you think it through, Wang Fugue will definitely take you home to see your family. Xia Dong lowered her voice and begged her, Big sister, I beg you. Save me. I really can't stay here. Hey, sister, don't blame me for being ruthless. I've been through it too. I understand your pain, but I can't help you. Most of the men in this village are single. It's not easy to buy a wife. If I really let you go, I'll become the enemy of the entire village. My husband will beat me to death. Xia Dong still wanted to say something, but the woman pushed her directly in front of Kong Lauer. Lauer, you, Lauer, and Li Dazhu send this girl to Wang Fugue's house. I won't go. I'm afraid I'll be soft-hearted if she begs me. Li Dazhu was the man who drove the tractor. Xia Dong was pushed forward by 2 men by her arms. She did not give up and turned back to shout, Big sister, I beg you. Help me. The woman turned her back to her and silently returned to her courtyard. Looking at the familiar path under her feet and the familiar simple courtyard in front of her, Xia Dong almost lost all hope. But when she thought of the child in her belly and Xiao Guai and Xiao Bao who were thousands of miles away, she became determined again. She must escape. From the woman's words, she analyzed that the whole village accepted the abduction of women. Without a map and a detailed plan, even if she escaped from Wang Fugue's house, she would not be able to escape the village. Wang Fugue was knocked unconscious by Xia Dong and had not yet woken up. The old lady found that the daughter-in-law she bought was missing. She was so anxious that she jumped. Just as she called a few neighbors to go out and look for her, her daughter-in-law was sent back and thanked her gratefully. It's a blind date in the village. Don't thank me. Granny Fong, watch her closely in the future. Don't let her run away again. Kong Lauer reminded her and helped Granny Fong lock Xia Dong in the room. Granny Fong thanked them again and brought out the tea she brewed. The three of them sat in the courtyard and chatted. As they chatted, Wang Fugue woke up. He heard that his daughter-in-law had run away and stopped Li Daju's tractor. Li Daju called the Kong brothers to catch her and thanked them profusely. Li Daju smiled despite the pain from the fall. Fugue, that daughter-in-law of yours is quite strong. Be careful and don't get hit by her. Look at my injury. It was caused by her. Kong Lao sighed. Didn't the slave trader say that there was something wrong with her head? I think she must have fallen ill. The people outside were chatting in a language that Xia Dong did not understand. She sat at the head of the bed and felt that something was wrong with her body. It was as if there were thousands of little insects gnawing on her flesh and bone marrow. It was itchy and painful. Her hands and feet began to tremble, and her whole body trembled. Her eyes were sore, and her nose was itchy and spicy. Tears flowed uncontrollably from her eyes, and mucus flowed from her nose like clear water. There was no tissue in the room, so she could only use her sleeves to wipe her tears and mucus. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not wipe them clean. Her body was itchy, painful, and numb. She hugged her head and screamed in pain. Ah, it's so uncomfortable. She lay on the bed in pain. She wanted to roll around to relieve the pain, but there was still a trace of consciousness in her mind. She could not hurt her child. She absolutely could not. Ah, it hurts. Xia Dong's fingers clenched the bedboard tightly as she endured the bone-chilling pain. Her head began to spin, and her vision began to blur. However, the pain and discomfort in her body became clearer. The pain in her limbs and bones were transmitted to her mind. Painful screams kept coming out of the room. Wang Fugue jumped up from the stool. He wanted to go into the room to take a look, but Granny Fong stopped him. That woman is full of tricks. She must be trying to coax you again. You're not allowed to go. Mother, the slave said that she has a mental illness. What if she has a relapse? Mother, just let me go in and take a look. Kong Lao said, Granny Fong, Fugue is right. I heard her scream so miserably. Maybe she really has a relapse. Li Daju said, yes, Granny Fong. Ask Fugue to open the door. We will go in together. Even if she plays tricks, we won't be afraid. Granny Fong thought about it and agreed. What if something happened to the daughter-in-law that she had bought with great difficulty? It was better to go in and take a look. The door opened, and the five of them went in together. Some of them were holding sticks, while others were holding ropes. Xia Dong, who was lying on the bed, was in so much pain that she was sweating profusely. Her whole body was trembling, and her hands and feet were beginning to spasm and twitch. Li Daju slapped his thigh. Oh no, Fugue. It seems that your wife is really sick. Hurry up and find the thing that the slave gave you. Okay. Wang Fugue was an honest man. When he heard this, he ran out in a hurry. After a while, he came back with a small metal box. Hurry up, take the thing out. Wang Fugue opened the metal box. There were 10 small medicine bottles and 10 disposable syringes inside. He scratched his head anxiously. This thing, I don't know how to do it. Don't panic, I know how to use it. I used to give my mother an injection before. Kong Lao squatted down and took a disposable syringe. He inserted it into the small medicine bottle and absorbed all the medicine in the bottle into the syringe. Then, he asked someone to lift Xia Dong's sleeve and slowly inject the medicine into her body. Xia Dong's body was so uncomfortable that it was about to explode. In a daze, she heard someone come in. Then, she felt a sharp pain in her arm, and a cold liquid flowed into her body. Xia Dong felt her hearing and vision become blurry. Beautiful flowers bloomed in her mind. In the beautiful wilderness, she ran hand in hand with the children. The scene changed to her and Mika Kito sitting side by side on the beach in Hokkaido. His smile was so gentle and charming that she laughed along with him. She heard the sound of the tide crashing on the beach. After some time, the person sitting beside her turned into Bailey Han. Bailey Han looked at her coldly. He called her a liar. She felt terrible, so she squatted on the ground and sobbed. Suddenly, a pair of strong arms wrapped around her body. A gentle voice called her name, Xia Xia, Xia Xia. Wang Fugue and the others gathered around the bed. They saw that Xia Dong's face was abnormally red. She closed her eyes and laughed one moment and cried the next. Wang Fugue said worriedly, "Why do I feel that she's even crazier after giving her the injection?" Li Dazhu patted him on the shoulder. Ren Yako said that this is the only medicine that can cure her madness. "Don't worry. Let's wait a little longer." After waiting for more than 10 minutes, Xia Dong finally calmed down. She didn't cry or laugh and fell into a deep sleep. Okay, everything's fine now." Wang Fugue heaved a sigh of relief and thanked the three of them. 3 p.m. in the study. Mika Keto sat on the sofa. His handsome face was as cold as 1,000-year-old ice. He exuded a powerful aura that made the people around him shiver. Bailey Han, who was sitting opposite him, didn't look any better. He looked like the black face god, full of murderous intent. Mika Keto stared at Jiang Dao maliciously. "What are you guys doing? It's been 36 hours and you still haven't found Xia Xia's whereabouts." Jiang Dao bowed deeply. "I'm sorry for my incompetence. Please punish me, boss. We'll talk about the punishment later. The most important thing now is to find Xia Xia." Mika Keto pursed his thin lips and his eyes emitted a terrifying light. "We have to find her at all costs. Our brothers have split into 2 groups and are scattered in the 2 provinces. They've obtained the road surveillance cameras along the way and are analyzing and tracking the suspicious vehicles." At this moment, Bailey Han received a call. After ending the call, he said with a sullen face, "Good news. The Transportation Bureau of the 2 provinces I'm in charge of, one of them, Province S, has sent news. From 9 p.m., the day before yesterday to 5 a.m., yesterday, a total of more than 500 cars with City A license plates entered their province. They used the elimination method and finally locked onto these 2 cars as suspects. Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 105. Bailey Han connected the photos he received on his phone to the computer. There were 2 high-end sports cars, one a Ferrari and the other a Land Rover. Mika Keto carefully observed the 2 photos, then pointed to the Land Rover and said, "I think it's more likely to be this car. The back of this Land Rover is more spacious. If the kidnappers put Xia Xia in it, it would be more suitable." "I agree with you," Bailey Han said in a deep voice. "So, I have already asked them to focus on this Land Rover." Tracking the kidnappers was a race against time. On the other side, when Xia Dong woke up, it was already night time. There was no light in the room, so it was dark. Looking up at the ceiling, she could see the starlight shining through the cracks of the tiles. Her body was wet as if she had just been fished out of the water. Her face was also sticky. She wanted to take a bath in disgust, but when she got out of bed, she realized that she was trapped in a small farmhouse. Her body was still a little sore and her head was a little dizzy. She felt that something was wrong. She still remembered the pain of hundreds of insects biting her heart before she fainted. Was there something wrong with her body? The door creaked open. Wang Fugue walked in with a wooden stick in one hand to prevent her from escaping and a bowl of rice in the other. "Honey, you're awake. How do you feel? Are you still feeling unwell?" He put down the bowl of rice, found the switch on the wall, and turned on the light. Xia Dong couldn't understand his words, but she could see the worried expression on his face. She held her forehead with one hand and showed a pained expression. Holding on to a glimmer of hope, she said, "I have a headache and I'm not feeling well. Can you find someone who can understand me? Do you have a headache?" Wang Fugue couldn't understand her words, but he could see her movements. He was so anxious that he jumped up and down. Suddenly, he slapped his head and said, "How could I forget? I can't understand city dialect, but Eiko can." "Wife, don't worry, I'll be right back." Wang Fugue ran away after saying that, not forgetting to lock the door before he left. Just as Xia Dong was guessing his actions, he suddenly ran back with a young girl in her early 20s. The girl had a long ponytail and was wearing a white t-shirt and a pair of washed-out jeans. She smiled shyly at Xia Dong and said, "Second aunt, my name is Eiko. Wang Fugue is my second uncle." Xia Dong stared at her with wide eyes. "You can speak Mandarin?" Eiko nodded shyly. "Yes, I went to high school." "Why didn't you continue reading?" Eiko lowered her head. "My family had no money, and my father was sick, so I dropped out of school." Wang Fugue saw that they were chatting and hurriedly nudged Eiko. "Eiko, ask your second aunt where she's feeling unwell." Eiko then remembered the main reason why her second uncle had dragged her over. She hurriedly asked, "Second aunt, where are you feeling unwell?" Xia Dong didn't answer her question. Instead, she asked, "Eiko, I suddenly felt unwell in the afternoon. Later, I remember that your second uncle and the rest came in. They seemed to have injected me with some medicine, and I fainted after that. Why don't you ask your second uncle what kind of drug he injected me with?" Eiko nodded and turned to Wang Fugue. She repeated Xia Dong's words in Mandarin. Wang Fugue told Eiko everything that the human trafficker said, and Eiko repeated it to Xia Dong in Mandarin. "Second aunt, my second uncle said that the human trafficker said that you were from the city and had always been crazy. Our family despised you, so they didn't want to raise you. That's why the human trafficker brought you to our village. When the human trafficker sold you to second uncle, he left behind a box of medicine. He said that if you fell ill, second uncle could inject you with it, and your illness would get better." Xia Dong's face turned pale. "What are the symptoms of the crazy illness that the human trafficker mentioned?" Eiko translated Wang Fugue's words. "The human trafficker said that when you fell ill, your whole body would convulse, and you would cry and have snot running down your nose. It would be very painful. Eiko, can I take a look at the medicine that your second uncle mentioned?" Xia Dong's heart thumped. She was certain that she wasn't crazy, but what exactly was wrong with her body? Did the kidnappers do something to her? Eiko turned to ask Wang Fugue. Wang Fugue nodded and quickly returned with a small metal box. After opening the box, Xia Dong saw that there were 9 medicine bottles neatly arranged. Beside them were 9 disposable syringes. There were no labels on the medicine bottles, so she didn't know the name of the medicine, let alone its composition. Xia Dong had a bad feeling, but now wasn't the time to worry. The most important thing now was to escape from this mountain village. She closed the metal box and asked Eiko, "Eiko, can you tell me where we are?" Eiko said, "The village we live in is called Chiligo. It's under the jurisdiction of El City." El City. Xia Dong knew this place. It was more than 500 kilometers away from a city and was under the jurisdiction of another province, S province. The kidnappers had abducted and sold her to another province. Xia Dong's fingernails were deeply embedded in her palms. Her face was pale, and she forced a smile. "Eiko, I'm bored here alone. If you're free, can you come and chat with me?" Eiko nodded. "Of course, second aunt. My second uncle is a good person. Don't worry, he'll be good to you." "Eiko, I can't accept it now. Give me some time. Let me calm down for 2 days, okay?" Xia Dong knew that no matter what she said, Eiko would only persuade her to accept her fate. Therefore, she had to pretend to be resigned to her fate to win their trust, and then find a way to escape. "Okay." Eiko nodded and told Wang Fugue the situation in dialect. Wang Fugue glanced at Xia Dong, who was a little uneasy. After hesitating for a long time, he nodded and turned to walk out of the room. Eiko said with a smile, "Second aunt, don't worry. My second uncle won't be staying here for the next 2 days." Xia Dong held her hand. "Eiko, thank you. Can you stay with me tonight? Okay, second aunt. Eat first. The food is getting cold. I'll go home and tell my mother. I'll be right there. After Eiko left, Xia Dong brought over the rice bowl on the wooden table. Dinner was rice, cabbage, and white meat. Although it didn't look good, it tasted good. Xia Dong finished it quickly. Eiko came back with a blanket and pillow. She said as she made the bed, second aunt, where are you from? Xia Dong smiled. I'm from a city. Eiko, have you seen the trafficker who abducted me? Eiko shook her head apologetically. No, I just came back from outside today. At that time, my second uncle had already bought you. She suddenly realized that she had said something she shouldn't have said and hurriedly said, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have mentioned it again. Xia Dong smiled bitterly. It's okay. I've already accepted it. Eiko, you're not in the village right now? What are you doing outside? Eiko smiled shyly. I haven't even graduated from high school. What else can I do? I'm working in a restaurant in a city. If it weren't for my father's illness, I might still be working in the restaurant. Xia Dong pointed at her jeans pocket and smiled. When you were making the bed just now, I saw the English vocabulary card in your butt pocket. I can see that you're a hard-working person. Eiko, believe me. One day, you'll realize your dream. Eiko blushed in embarrassment. They all laughed at me for not knowing myself. Second aunt, you're the first person to encourage me. Xia Dong blinked. How can a swallow know the ambition of a swan? The people who laugh at you don't have dreams, so they're jealous of you who have dreams. Eiko chuckled. She tilted her head and looked at her. She mustered up her courage and asked, second aunt, I think you know a lot of things. How did you get that kind of illness? Did your family really abandon you? Xia Dong looked into her eyes and said seriously, Eiko, if I told you that I'm not sick, that my family didn't abandon me, and that I was kidnapped and sold to 7 Mile Gully, would you believe me? Eiko was shocked. She avoided her gaze in a panic. No, I don't know. Xia Dong reached out and held her shoulders. She forced her to look into her eyes and said slowly, Eiko, don't call me second aunt. My name is Xia Dong. I'm from City A, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Charm magazine. Eiko's eyes shone with disbelief. She asked in a daze, you're really the editor-in-chief of Charm magazine? Xia Dong nodded solemnly. It's the real deal. Eiko murmured, I watched TV. I heard that the donation for Yutang Elementary School was initiated by the editor-in-chief of Charm magazine. Was it you? Xia Dong's eyes lit up. It was me. You know about this event too? Eiko nodded fiercely, her face full of admiration. You don't know how successful that event was. Even many of our restaurant's employees donated. I also donated. At that time, I really admired you. I didn't expect to see you one day, in this way. I didn't expect to see you either. Xia Dong smiled bitterly. Eiko grabbed her hand. Second aunt, oh, no, Chief Editor Xia, were you really kidnapped? Xia Dong nodded and told her what happened that night in detail. Finally, she looked into her eyes and said seriously, Eiko, can you help me? Eiko bit her lip. You want me to help you escape? That's right. Will you help me? Xia Dong looked at her eagerly. No, you can't. Ingzi pushed her hand away in panic. She was about to cry. Chief Editor Xia, I like you very much and I admire you very much. But I'm sorry, I can't help you. Why can't you help me? Can you tell me the reason? Because second uncle is my family's benefactor. Eiko's eyes were red and her voice was choked with sobs. When I was in high school, my father fell seriously ill. In order to treat him, I dropped out of school and went to work, but the money I earned was not enough. It was second uncle who took out the money he used to get a wife to treat my father's illness. If he didn't do that, he wouldn't have been single for so long. Chief Editor Xia, you were bought by second uncle with the money of 2 white pigs. If I help you escape, then second uncle will really lose everything. Eiko, listen to me. Xia Dong looked at her and said seriously, I won't let your second uncle's money go to waste. I can introduce him to jobs so that he can earn more money to get a wife. I can also introduce you to jobs to treat your father's illness. If you want to continue studying, I can arrange for you to continue studying. Believe me, even if I escape, I won't let you suffer. I will change your living conditions. But. Eiko stammered, not knowing what to say. But what? You don't believe me? Add Songshu 566. Chapter 106. No. If you're really Chief Editor Xia, I'll definitely believe you. Xia Dong rubbed her nose and smiled bitterly. You're right. I don't have anything to prove my identity, so it's only right that you don't believe me. Eiko, tell me. If what I said is true, are you willing to help me? Eiko bit her lip and hesitated. Xia Dong's offer was very tempting. Xia Dong wasn't in a hurry to get an answer. She patted the back of her hand and said, think about it first. Tell me your answer tomorrow. Eiko nodded. Xia Dong smiled and changed the topic. She talked about many interesting things that happened when she was in university and her struggles in Japan. In the end, she looked at Eiko and said meaningfully, Eiko, a person's fate is in their own hands. What you lack is an opportunity. Eiko understood what she meant. Her originally heavy heart became heavier. She was in a dilemma and was in a dilemma. The next day, when Xia Dong woke up, Eiko had already left. She sighed. Was it still not possible? Eiko didn't want to agree. It seemed that she had to continue working hard. There were no toiletries in the room. Xia Dong felt that she was going to die of filth. The door suddenly opened. Eiko walked in with a smile on her face. She carried a basin, towel, soap, toothpaste, toothbrush, and other items. Chief Editor Xia, I got some water for you. I bought the toothbrush and towel at the village entrance. Xia Dong smiled brightly. Thank you. After washing up, Wang Fugui brought breakfast. It was steamed buns and porridge. Eiko accompanied her to finish breakfast and said softly, Chief Editor Xia, it's not that I don't believe you. I just want to be more cautious. Do you have any way to prove your identity? Xia Dong was overjoyed. It seemed that Eiko was persuaded by her. She thought for a moment and said, I'll tell you the phone number of the magazine. You can call it and say that you're Yisiki, the editor-in-chief's good friend, and you're looking for the editor-in-chief's assistant, Lilith. When Lilith answers the phone, you can ask whatever questions you want to ask to prove my identity. Xia Dong added, Eiko, I have a favor to ask of you. Don't tell anyone about my disappearance. Xia Dong guessed that with Bai Tangshan's style of doing things, after she disappeared, he would definitely think of a way to cover up this matter. Then, her colleagues in the company wouldn't know about her disappearance, and she would continue to hide it, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble. Eiko rubbed her fingers and hesitated for a while before continuing, If I prove your identity, what should I do to help you without harming my uncle? It was illegal to buy and sell women, so Eiko had to consider the issue of protecting her uncle. Xia Dong had already thought of a way. She said, after you prove my identity, you don't have to call the police. Just call my friend and tell him my specific location. Ask him to come and find me alone. Also, help me pass a message to him. Just say, Xia is fine. Don't worry. Xia misses the babies and brother Shen. As long as you say this, he will know it's me. Eiko quickly took out a pen and paper and wrote down everything Xia Dong said, including the 2 phone numbers. Eiko carefully put the note in her pocket and said, only Li Daju's house has a phone in the village, but Li Daju can speak Mandarin. If we don't want him to find out about us, we have to go to town. Chief Editor Xia, I'll go to town in a while and will probably be back in the evening. Don't worry, I've already talked to my uncle. He won't come and disturb you. Okay, Eiko, be careful. Don't let anyone find out about us. Xia Dong knew that the people in this village liked to help each other. If one person found out about their plan, the whole village would soon find out, and their plan would fail. Xia Dong had nothing to do. Lying on the bed, she touched her flat stomach and waited for Eiko to come back. On the other side, Bai Tangshen and Bai Lihan had just received news from S province that the Land Rover was very suspicious. There was once a witness who saw two people carrying a big black bag into the car. However, the Transportation Bureau's tracking of the Land Rover was also cut off because the Land Rover had been abandoned on the road out of S province's provincial capital. After investigation, it was confirmed that the Land Rover was also a stolen vehicle. There were no clues in the car, not even a strand of hair. The kidnappers are very cautious. Bai Lihan rubbed his eyebrows. This is a well-planned kidnapping. The kidnappers didn't ask for a ransom. What are they trying to do? If they wanted Xia Dong's life, they wouldn't have taken the risk and brought her so far away. This meant that Xia Dong was still safe for the time being. Mika Kito's face was very ugly, and her eyes were burning with anger. No matter what they are trying to do, once I catch them, I'll make them beg for death. Bai Lihan walked to the desk. There was a large map on the desk. He pointed at a place and said, the Land Rover was abandoned here. This route leads to 4 cities. The kidnappers keep giving us multiple choices. Mika Kito gritted her teeth. Jiangdao, inform our brothers in the other 2 provinces to hurry to these 4 cities. The search area has been narrowed down. I don't believe that we can't find Xia. There's no need for that. Leave these 2 cities to me. Bai Lihan pointed at 2 of the cities. I plan to go to the capital of S province. It's closer to the 4 cities. Once there's news, we can get to Xia faster. Mika Kito didn't stand on ceremony. The most important thing now was to find Xia's whereabouts. The longer Xia stayed outside, the more dangerous it would be. Bai Lihan looked at Mika Kito. I'll go with you. Bai Tangshen originally wanted to refuse, but when he saw Bai Lihan's dark eyes that didn't allow him to refuse, he changed his mind. Bai Lihan had connections in S province, and if there were any accidents, he could still help. They boarded Bai Lihan's private jet and arrived at the capital of S province in 2 hours. As soon as they got off the plane, Mika Kito received a call from an unknown number. After listening to the words on the other side of the phone, Bai Tangshen froze in his steps. His face revealed an ecstatic expression as he excitedly said, "Please tell me her specific location." A clear female voice came from the other end of the line. L City, 7 Mile Gully. Chief Editor Xia asked you not to call the police. Okay, I got it. Thank you very much. Mika Kito hung up the phone. She was so excited that her eyes turned red. Bai Lihan looked at her deeply. Do you have news about Xia Dong? Yes, she's in L City. After Mika Kito said this, she immediately contacted Jiangdao and asked him to gather his men in the other 3 cities. His men in L City would stay in the city and wait for his orders. L City was a small city. There was no airport, so the plane couldn't land. Bai Lihan and Mika Kito had to drive there. They rushed there as fast as they could. It was already about 4:00 in the afternoon. By the time they arrived at 7 Mile Gully, it was already past 8:00 in the evening. At this time, Xia Dong and Eiko were chatting in bed. Eiko said, "Chief Editor Xia, I called your friend at noon and told her our address." Xia Dong hugged her. "Eiko, thank you for your hard work. Don't worry. I won't let you down. I will help you change the situation at home." Eiko nodded. "I know. I believe in you." Chief Editor Xia, can you tell me more about your university life? I'm very curious. Okay. Xia Dong smiled and told her about her university life. She listened carefully, her eyes shining with envy and longing. After an unknown period of time, Xia Dong began to feel uncomfortable. What happened yesterday afternoon happened again. Her whole body was itchy and painful. She clenched her teeth and tried to control it, but she couldn't. Her body began to tremble, and her hands and feet trembled like a patient suffering from epilepsy. Eiko was shocked. Chief Editor Xia, what's wrong? Where do you feel uncomfortable? I feel so uncomfortable. Xia Dong groaned in pain. Her eyes and nose began to secrete liquid again. She felt so uncomfortable that she wanted to bang her head against the wall. She clasped her fingers tightly on the bed board to prevent herself from rolling around and hurting the child. Chief Editor Xia, don't scare me. What's wrong with you? Eiko looked at her uncomfortable face and didn't know what to do. She could only help her hold her body down and stop her from moving around. Ing find a rope, tie me up. Xia Dong couldn't hold on any longer. Her vision began to blur, but her mind was still clear. She wanted to protect the child. She had to tie her hands and feet so that she wouldn't move around. Eiko was shocked by her painful voice. She suddenly remembered that second uncle still had the medicine. She quickly said, "Don't worry, Chief Editor Xia. I'll go find my second uncle right away." No, don't give me the injection. Xia Dong was anxious and in pain. Her illness came in a strange way, and the injection was even stranger. She couldn't give the injection before she was sure that the injection wouldn't harm the child. Eiko was so anxious that she cried. Chief Editor Xia, don't force yourself. You're so pale now. Wait a minute, I'll call my second uncle right away. No. Don't. Xia Dong reached out and wanted to pull her, but she broke free of her hand. She ran to the door and knocked hard on it. Second uncle, open the door. Second aunt is sick. Second uncle. Wang Fugue heard Eiko's cries. He didn't even have time to put on his clothes. He ran over half naked with a small metal box in his hand. He opened the door with a bang and found that Xia Dong was in so much pain that her face was pale. He was shocked at first, but then he quickly opened the small metal box and scratched his head anxiously. Eiko, second uncle doesn't know how to do it. I'll do it. Eiko gritted her teeth. She had never injected anyone before, but she had seen the nurse do it for her father. She took the syringe and sucked the medicine into the syringe. She squeezed out the air inside and walked in front of Xia Dong. She lifted her arm and wanted to inject her. Xia Dong shook her head in pain. No. Don't, Eiko gritted her teeth. Chief Editor Xia, don't be afraid. It'll be over soon. She lifted her arm and slowly pressed the syringe down. The liquid inside was slowly injected into Xia Dong's body. She gradually calmed down. Eiko let out a long sigh of relief. Just as her heart returned to her stomach, Xia Dong suddenly started laughing. She closed her eyes and had a happy expression on her face. She laughed very loudly and shouted, Fly, Chief Editor Xia, what's wrong? Are you okay? Eiko quickly put down the syringe and went forward to shake her arm. At this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps was heard. In the next second, the door was kicked open. Two tall men strode in, followed by several men in black suits. Ad Hongcha 866. Chapter 107. Wang Fugue was shocked. He picked up a small stool from the ground and stood in front of them. Who are you? Eiko was stunned for a moment before she reacted and asked in Mandarin, Are you Chief Editor Xia's friends? Mika Kido nodded. I received your call today. Is she here? I heard her laughter. Yes, Chief Editor Xia is here. Eiko quickly pulled Wang Fugue over and pointed to the bed. My uncle is not a bad person. Please don't make things difficult for him. The moment he saw Xiaodong, Mika Keto was no longer in the mood to deal with anyone. He just nodded and strode to the bed. Bailey Han stood beside the bed almost at the same time as him. Mika Keto did not hesitate and directly hugged Xiaodong in his arms. Xia, I'm here to pick you up. Xiaodong giggled. Her eyes were blurred, as if she was immersed in her own world. She pointed to the ceiling and muttered to herself, flowers, so many flowers. Mika Keto was shocked. Xia, what's wrong with you? Look at me. Bailey Han's heart, which had already fallen into his chest, suddenly rose. His expression became very ugly, and his sharp eyes quickly fell on Wang Fugue and Eiko. What did you do to her? Seeing the two of them, Wang Fugue guessed that they were Xiaodong's relatives. He was extremely dejected. Moreover, he did not understand Mandarin, so he could only stare at them. Eiko quickly explained, we didn't do anything. Chief Editor Xia just fell ill. I injected her with some medicine, but I didn't expect her to become like this. Bailey Han's eyes were cold. He took a few steps forward and stared at Eiko. What do you mean by falling ill? Xiaodong is not sick at all. What medicine did you inject into her? Eiko was frightened by his strong aura and took 2 steps back. She trembled as she picked up the medicine bottle and the metal box and said, This was left behind by a human trafficker. He said that he injected Chief Editor Xia when she fell ill. Bailey Han picked up the medicine bottle and looked at it carefully. He did not find any clues, but he had a vague guess. Mika Keto comforted Xiaodong for a long time, but Xiaodong did not get better, so he turned his attention to them. Bailey Han handed the medicine bottle to him with a frighteningly gloomy face. I hope you are not like what I guessed. Mika Keto looked at the medicine bottle and then looked at Xiaodong's reaction. His face became as ugly as Bailey Han's. After a while, he squeezed out 2 words, Lei Feng. His voice was so low that only the 2 of them could hear it. The 2 of them looked at each other without saying a word. Their eyes were full of anger. Xiaodong suddenly laughed out loud. The 2 of them looked at her with pity in their eyes. However, Bailey Han held back, while Mika Keto grabbed Xiaodong's hand without hesitation to prevent her from hurting herself. Wang Fugue looked over and wanted to go forward, but he was stopped by the people brought by Mika Keto. Eiko quickly pulled him back. Second uncle, they are second aunts, oh no, Chief Editor Xia's friends. Let's go out first. Wang Fugue sighed. As he walked out, he turned back to look at Xiaodong. Eiko grabbed his arm and dragged him out. After about half an hour, Xiaodong slowly woke up. She opened her eyes and saw Mika Keto with a worried face. She looked up slowly and saw the expressionless Bailey Han. She said softly, Brother Shen, Mr. Bailey. Bailey Han could immediately tell how close she was to them from the way she addressed them. He felt a little uncomfortable. Mika Keto pulled her into his arms. Xia, I'm glad you're okay. Bailey Han looked at them and felt that they were an eyesore. He turned around and walked out of the room. When he walked out to the courtyard, Su Yunxian called. Han, why aren't you home? I wanted to spend a beautiful night with you. Su Yunxian was so excited that she wanted to jump up and down whenever she thought about Xiaodong being sold to a poor village, getting addicted to drugs, and even giving birth to a deformed child. She was in such a good mood that she wanted to look for Bailey Han to celebrate with him. However, when she went to his villa, he was nowhere to be found. Bailey Han rubbed his eyebrows and said softly, I was on a business trip. I left in a hurry, so I didn't inform you. It's okay. You should rest early. Don't tire yourself out. Su Yunxian was in a good mood, so naturally, she was easy to talk to. Okay, you should rest early too. Bailey Han hung up the phone and stood in the small courtyard. He frowned slightly. Who on earth wanted to harm Xiaodong and make her addicted to drugs? He pinched the space between his eyebrows. Drug addiction? How should he get her to quit? In the room, Xia Dong leaned against the pillow weakly. She smiled faintly and said, Brother Shen, you came so quickly. Eiko just called you in the afternoon and you're already here in the evening. Mika Keto stroked her hair. The man who had always been resolute actually had red eyes. I'm sorry, Xia. I didn't protect you well. Xia Dong shook her head. Brother Shen, it's not your fault. I was the one who let my guard down. Brother Shen, I want to go home. I miss the children. I also miss Auntie and the rest. If they know that I'm missing, they will be very worried. Mika Keto couldn't help but kiss her on the head. You should rest for the night. We'll go home early tomorrow morning. Don't worry, I lied and said that you were on a business trip. I also lied to your company and said that you were sick and asked for leave for you. Xia Dong smiled. Brother Shen, I knew that you would have a way. Xia, are you afraid? Mika Keto stroked her face. Her delicate little face had lost a lot of weight and her chin seemed sharper. I'm not afraid. I know that I will escape. I also know that Brother Shen will think of a way to save me. Mika Keto pulled her into his arms. He wished that he could rub her into his body and make her a part of him. That way, he would never have to worry about her leaving him again. Brother Shen, I want to give the children a call. Okay. Mika Keto placed his phone in her hand. The call went through immediately. It was Xiao Bao's anxious voice. Uncle Shen, is there any news about Mommy? Xia Dong couldn't help but laugh. Bao, it's Mommy. It's so good to hear your voice. Xiao Bao burst into tears. This was the first time that Xia Dong had heard him cry so sadly. Her heart ached for him. She comforted him gently for a long time before he finally stopped crying. He said awkwardly, Mom, I wasn't the one crying just now. It was the children on TV who were crying. I know. The men in our family won't cry. Xia Dong was very considerate of him. Xiao Bao smiled through his tears. Mom, when are you coming back? I'll be back tomorrow. Take good care of Gigai, okay? Okay. Mom, come back quickly. Gigai and I still need you to help us arrange the program. Okay, Mommy knows. It's getting late. Go to bed quickly. If you don't wake up tomorrow morning, Auntie Nanny will spank your little butt. Wow, I've never slept in. Mom, you're the one who sleeps in bed every day. Little brat, don't expose me in front of your Uncle Shen. Humph, Uncle Shen won't care. Anyway, Uncle Shen has seen your ugly face. The mother and son bickered for a while more before Xia Dong reluctantly hung up the phone and handed it to Mika Keto. Mika Keto smiled and said gently, Bao is right. I've seen your ugly face, but I don't mind at all. Xia Dong rolled her eyes. Brother Shen, if you continue to embarrass me, I'll find a hole to hide in. Mika Keto patted her head. I won't embarrass you anymore. Otherwise, I'll have to trouble myself to find you. They chatted in the room while Bailey Han went to negotiate with Wang Fugue. Although Wang Fugue was very sad, with Eiko's persuasion, he was able to accept it. Her family had already found her, so what else could he do? He could only agree to let them take her away. After the negotiation, Bailey Han gave Wang Fugue a sum of money. This sum of money was enough for him to buy a few wives. Wang Fugue looked at the money in shock. He trembled for a long time before spitting out a few words. I can't take this money. I only want the money that belongs to me. After listening to Ingzi's translation, Bailey Han's eyes quickly flashed with a touch of appreciation. He said, okay, I'll give you the money that belongs to you and give you a job. His construction company lacked such honest and upright employees. Eiko excitedly repeated his words to Wang Fugue in dialect. Wang Fugue was stunned for a moment before he bowed deeply. Bailey Han turned his gaze to Eiko. You're Eiko? Eiko nodded fiercely. Bailey Han asked, have you ever been to school? Eiko blushed. Yes, I have. I haven't graduated from high school yet. Do you want to go to college? Eiko said in surprise, can I really? Bailey Han handed her a business card. When you arrive in City A, you can come to me. I'll arrange it for you. However, you have to study in the second year of high school first and take the college entrance examination with your ability. During your study, all expenses will be paid by me. The condition is that after you graduate, you have to work for me in my company. Is there a problem? Eiko was so excited that tears came out of her eyes. No problem, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Bailey Han's face was expressionless. You don't have to thank me. I'm just making a long-term investment. I hope you won't let me down. Mr. Bailey, I will work hard and won't let you down. Eiko was full of excitement. She vacated the best room in the house, laid out clean sheets and quilts, and nervously asked Bailey Han to stay in it. Although Bailey Han was the son of a rich family, he was not a playboy. He had even slept in caves and deserted islands. Of course, he did not care about the shabbiness of the room. He nodded lightly. On the other side, Wang Fugue also prepared a room for Mika Kito. Mika Kito let her 4 subordinates stay there, and she squeezed on the bed with Xia Dong. Although Xia Dong was a little embarrassed, she did not say anything in consideration of the fact that there were too many people and too few beds. Early the next morning, Xia Dong woke up. Mika Kito was no longer by her side. Xia Dong remembered that she had told him about the agreement between her and Eiko last night and asked him to help deal with it. Perhaps he had gone to deal with it. After she finished washing up, Mika Kito came back. She did not look good. Xia Dong asked, Brother Shen, what's wrong? Mika Kito snorted coldly. Bailey Han beat me to it. His face was dark. Bailey Han already settled it last night. He arranged a job for Wang Fugue and said that he would sponsor Eiko's school fees. At this point, he suddenly raised his eyebrows. However, Bailey Han did not know that Eiko's father was sick, so I agreed to treat Eiko's father. His expression was like that of a child who had snatched a piece of candy. Xia Dong could not help but laugh out loud. Beauty novel, Shinwu 799. You're tuning into the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.